Hey guys, what's going on? Let's get into it. Diddy's third bail hearing. It looks like his team is thinking that 3 times is going to actually be the charm. What is going on? There has been a whirlwind of papers and new filings. We're going to get into them all. Diddy's team is swearing that he is going to get out. I don't know whether Diddy is safer outside or inside. Regardless of what is actually happening, we actually have to get into this. Let's get into this. If you guys don't know, the defense filed a motion saying Diddy didn't really throw anything. They filed a motion saying that they have 6 blank workers that are going to get him off. Yes, we will be doing live from inside. There will be a few reporters live tweeting. We will read the live tweets on air for dramatic effect. But until the trial actually starts, let's get into what the opposition has actually put up. Okay, so we have the prosecutor's response and we have the defense's response. Which ones you guys want to start with first? Let's start with the defense's response because I actually think it is the most unhinged one that we've actually heard. Now, Diddy had freak-offs all through the years. The prosecutor is saying that they've gotten 6 blank workers out of 25 years of blank workers, different sizes. Oh, we know Diddy like that BBC, different flavors, different everything. They are saying that they have 6 people to prove that everything Diddy's ever done has been consensual. Let's get into this paperwork. Gotta do my flip over on the right side. Let's get into this paperwork while we wait for this trial to start. Also, Kendrick dropped a new album. He is going in on Snoop. He is going in on Lil Wayne. And you know, Drake is sitting there mad. The album's actually really good, but we'll get into the album in a different video, okay? I think it's most important right now to talk about. Okay. I think it's most important right now to talk about what's actually going on. All right, let's get into this. Okay, so right here, let's put this in the full screen. We have the declaration of Teeny Geragos, no relation to Mark Geragos. Her last name is Krishnaswamy. Okay, we'll call her Tinny Rose Geragos. Okay, got you, right? Declares the following. She's a partner at the Agnafilio law firm. That's something to brag about. Let's keep going on it. She said, Mr. Agnafilio and I began interviewing witnesses for this matter in April 2024 after the Department of Homeland Security raids at 2 of Diddy's residences and on his person. Now, you guys have to remember that on his person actually means a lot because by saying at on his person, they're literally talking about when he actually got searched at that private jet thing where his jet was being used for something else and Diddy's family were about to board an unmarked private jet. Mark Agnafilio stated examples of these interviews at the bail hearing on September 17, 2024. She then goes to the quote. So Mr. Geragos and I interviewed a half dozen of these males. We've been as busy as the government has over the last 6 months. First of all, Diddy's lawyers are really cute. And when I say cute, I mean like get a life. I'm interested to see whether the judge is buying it. They were able to embarrass the judge at the court hearing by submitting evidence that wasn't even actually the evidence to get key evidence thrown out. Okay. For them to say by interviewing 6 blank workers that they were just as busy as the government, it seems like a big stretch to me. But you know what? Let's keep going. They also quoted themselves saying they talk about other violence in the bail letter, and they're talking about kidnapping from 2001. And I know exactly what they're talking about because we interviewed blank. I assume it was Kid Cudi. I know who the person is, okay? I know who the person is. They go on to say that her and Teeny and Agnafilio interviewed her in Los Angeles. We took a statement from her. She certainly didn't use the word kidnapping with us. I won't get into what she did say, but let's suffice to say there is another side to that story. And one day the other side might be told. They said that. So here they're already trying to establish doubt. They're basically saying that the government put 20 on 10 when they said Diddy kidnapped somebody. They put 20 on 10 when they said Diddy was violence. They said that kidnapping charge was from 2011. Now, Diddy's lawyers up to this point have tried to make it seem like this whole case was just about Cassie, even though they are now admitting that they even admit that something took place that the government is classifying as kidnapping. And they're like saying, it's not kidnapping. It was just a disagreement between what? Between what? Between what? A pimp and his ho-ho-hos? Another way they quoted themselves. Are we going to continue to interview witnesses? Of course we are. We take pains to stay out of the government's way. We don't know who the grand jury witnesses are, and honestly, I won't get into details. If you think they are talking to someone, I will pull up short. I don't want any problems. I do want to speak. We both know pretty much everything, This was Mark Agnifilio saying that they know everything, the grand jury, the secret grand jury convening, they know everything that's going on there, which I always thought was a weird flex and a weird bragging point, but I think they were doing that for Diddy. If you guys are just joining us, we're doing the countdown to Diddy's bail hearing. Legal professionals are a bit worried that Diddy will be released this time. Okay, out of 30 years of blank workers, they have 6 people that are willing to say that everything was consensual. Unless these 6 blank workers were at every single freak off, I don't see how they apply. What's more, the judge seems to be oddly lenient. Well, I don't want to say lenient to Diddy because it's too early to tell. I do know that it seemed very embarrassing for the judge, unless there's other reasons, that they dismissed key evidence, namely those pads that hold on a second really quick. Hold on. 1 second. Sorry. Okay. So I do know that those pads that they said were marked legal, they weren't marked legal, at least in evidence. And the judge actually told them, you're going to have to explain Friday what you are in fact doing. Okay. Number 5, after Mr. Combs' indictment on this matter, the government and I began negotiations over the protective order. Because we had protracted discussions, we did not come to an agreement of terms until on or about October 4th, 2024. This court entered an agreed upon protective order on or about October 7th. That evening, the government produced their first production of discovery material to the defense. This production included the government's search warrants and their supporting affidavits. They said even without the benefit of the government's discovery, Mark Agnifilio and my investigation continued. In the beginning of October, our investigator traveled to blank to interview multiple witnesses. He had planned to interview people in blah, 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 blah. Now, listen, we can guess where they traveled to. New York, LA, Miami, maybe even Detroit. I'm guessing, okay? We do know that Diddy's goons have been videoed by social media influencers, if you can believe the videos, and I do, that they are trying to pay off people for when the trial starts and as it goes on to have a more favorable view of Diddy or tell another side of the story, okay? Going on. On October 2nd, 2024, our investigator was in blank interviewing a witness. He then traveled to blank to interview blank. We believe may have important information related to the investigation. On October 3rd, I met with my client at MDC and discussed blank with them. We discussed, this is highly redacted, they discussed blankety blank blank. This individual who, as the government states, has previously publicly detailed the physical abuse she suffered, remained romantically involved with Diddy on and off until less than a month before Cassie filed her November 2023 lawsuit. I sent Mark Agnifilio and our investigator to follow the following text message. So this is an important clue, okay? If you guys are just joining us, we are going to be live from Diddy's trial. We have a reporter inside live tweeting. We're going to give you the dramatic enactment. But in the meantime, we are reading these warring memos that the prosecution and defense have just filed last minute. There is going to be a war in court, and people are very, very worried that Diddy will be set out on bail. Now, we can talk about whether he's safer in jail or out, but let's get into this. So what do we know? The individual has previously publicly detailed the physical abuse she suffered. I do believe that this individual might be Gina Han. Gina Han previously went on Tasha K, because think about it. Who else has publicly detailed what? Hold on a second. Who else, right? Who else was romantically involved with Diddy off and on until less than a month before Cassie filed in November 20, 2023? On top of that, right? Who else has previously publicly detailed the physical abuse she suffered under Diddy? I do believe that Gina Han was the only person. It can't be Young Miami. Young Miami was sitting there talking about, he made me feel like a woman. He made me feel safe in my womanhood. I hope Young Miami feels stupid for doing that. Again, all these people taking a bullet for Diddy, none of his billionaire friends or people that really got something to lose or got any brains are actually going up for him. I don't see Jay-Z going up for him. I don't see Ron Burkle going up for him. I don't see Michael Rubin going up for him. I don't see anybody. I don't see Robert Kraft going up for him. I don't see half of the DNC or any of the Republican people going up for Diddy. So why would Young Miami wander out into the field? She better hope her name don't come up in this lawsuit with the federal government for revolt. Hold on a second, really quick, you guys. Okay, so aside from that, okay, so she sent Mark Geragos a message. She said the next day, our client made the call in which the government transcribes, blah, 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 blah. The last part of the sentence, which is not included in the government's brief, but is an exhibit, states, blah, 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 ultimately. So now Diddy's lawyers in this brief that was just filed moments ago, right? The trial is starting around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or maybe 1:30. We'll see. The point of the matter is Diddy's team are now trying to say that Diddy wasn't witness tampering or obstruction. Everything he said and did, they are trying to say that it was at the direction of his lawyers. Now, I get what's going on, right? Diddy's team wants to take a bullet from him. He is paying them millions, right? Their job is to keep him out of jail. However, even if the lawyers were directing Diddy to also investigate, Diddy, if you guys, and Diddy's team, if you guys know that somebody has legal counsel, you are not supposed to be communicating directly with someone else that has legal counsel if you yourself have counsel or if they have counsel. That is law school 101. Diddy team knows it. Diddy knows it. For them to try to downplay, it's going to be interesting to see if the judge actually buys this. They said on October 7th, we received the government search warrant affidavits. It became clear to me from blank that victim 3, I think this is Gina Han, was considered an alleged victim by the government, and that blank. With this information from the search warrant affidavits, blankety blank blank. Therefore, after October 7th, I have not reviewed any discovery where Diddy states on any calls or in any emails to anyone to contact victim 3. Instead, Diddy focuses on potential witnesses to address victim 3 and possible allegations. There was never any instruction whatsoever that Diddy or counsel would blackmail victim 3. Okay, now this is direct opposition to the text messages the government has that says that he threatened them to show the public freak-off tape. Okay, now we'll see what's what. And this is all going to have to go to court. But we see from what happened a couple of days ago with Diddy's team, a couple of things that we learned. They will put 20 on 10. They will mislead the court. The same way they said the same thing with his legal pad, and then come to find out the judge is like, now what are you talking about? It's the same way they're saying, I haven't seen, what are you doing? I don't believe that we can take Diddy's team firmly on their word. I do believe that they put 20 on 10. And when you actually get to the root of it, they have a tendency to mislead. Okay. All right. 1 second. 1 second. One second. I'm just getting updates for the trial. Okay. Now get in. It's about to start. Hold on. There are people outside the courthouse. Okay. The government's response addresses Mr. Combs' contact with witness one. That must be Kalina. Oh, wait, no, that's a man. The search warrant affidavits received on October 7th state blah, 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 who the government describes as witness one in document number 69. Prior to reviewing the government's search warrants, I was unaware. Now, they are claiming that they were actually unaware. Okay. They were unaware of that witness one had actually spoken to. I was unaware that the government put witness one in the grand jury. Now, this already sounds like they're putting 20 on 10 because if you remember, Mark Agnifilio stood on the courthouse steps and his team are turning out, in my opinion, to be very misleading. I'm not going to call them liars, but I don't know. It's just not adding up. You guys said that you guys knew everything that was going on in the grand jury. You even said you knew Diddy was going to be arrested. You said you were negotiating. You got this, you got that. Now all of a sudden you didn't know what witnesses are in there. You can't pick and choose when you know what's going on and when you don't know what's going on. I first learned of witness one when Mark Agnifilio and I were in Miami, Florida, meeting with our client at his house. Now, first of all, she's saying she just learned of witness one. But did Mark Agnifilio know about witness one? Because Teensy, or whatever her name is, Tinny, actually came on after Mark Agnifilio. So even if she didn't know, Mark Agnifilio knew. And if your coworker is doing something, there is implied, constructive, and active notice all at one. Okay? Ignorance is no defense for breaking the law. As part of our defense investigation, we've discussed several individuals with whom Mark Agnifilio and I determined that we should interview as part of our defense accusation. Now, why is that? Could it be because Diddy knows where all his bodies are buried? But let's continue. On June 25th, Mr. Agnifilio and I traveled to Blank to continue our investigation. Mr. Agnifilio and I met with Diddy at his home in Los Angeles, and Diddy called witness one. So let me get this straight. Y'all trying to say that witness one didn't testify in front of the grand jury, but did witness one tell you they testified in front of the grand jury? Because if they did, and even if they told you that they testified, why did he call them while you guys were in front of him? Is that not violating? Also, the fact that you are doing something in front of a lawyer does not shield you from doing something illegal. If anything, it makes me look at the lawyers really weird. Also, keep in mind when you look at this, I feel like they're blacking out a lot and being very strategic because they are doing their own version of jury tampering. This is the same chick that got on TikTok and tried to do a Johnny Depp TikTok about, oh, the things were done. Here we have here. Here we have here. Love working with you. And I'm like, are you really making a 60-second TikTok like you are 14 years old when we are talking about sex trafficking and you are telling a alleged brutal crime overlord, hey, it was great working with you. Can we work together again? Girl, get out of here. Anyway, Mr. Agnaphilia and I, so they said they met with Diddy at his Los Angeles home and they called witness one. He made a phone call in our presence. Now, again, Diddy's team, I believe, is trying to take the bullet for him. There's no proof they made the phone call. He made the phone call in their presence because a lot of what the government says, they seem to be caught flat-footed, which leads me to believe that they can't control their client. They're doing their best to act like they can control their client, but they can't control their client. Diddy is running his own defense. Okay, I wonder if they let him see the autobiography of Malcolm X in prison. The only thing is, Diddy, you ain't Malcolm X. Anyway, Tinsley said, I memorialized this conversation in writing at the time. Again, Diddy's team feels nothing wrong with misleading unless it was memorialized with timestamps or an independent verification. I don't believe anything that they are saying. Now, the judge can, but these are the same people that said that legal was written all over Diddy's notes. And they showed pictures of the notes, and there's nothing in the notes that says legal. They still haven't addressed that, oddly enough. On June 27, 2024, after Mark Agnaphilia and I, blankety blank blank, they also go on to say that on November 20th, 2024, the government made available for inspection blankety blank blank. That must be the transcripts from what happened in jail and the search and seizure. Victim one and witness one, which corroborates this witness's statement. Again, we see where Diddy's 50 million is going. On July 8th, 2024, I believe I contacted witness one for his attorney's name and contact information. Mr. Agnaphilia and I spoke with witness one's attorney, who declined to make his client available for an interview. So if you guys spoke to their attorney, which you're following protocol, and they said, I am not making my client available for an interview, who are you without court order and Diddy too to go around and still contact that client? Again, they're trying to make their things innocent. Like, Your Honor, we just did A, B, and C, but you shouldn't have been doing A, B, and C. You see what I'm saying? Now they're going to individual one. They said this individual, as the government states, is Mr. Combs blank. Mr. Combs what? Mr. Combs what? The government writes that Mr. Combs said he has blank. This has nothing to do with blank. He goes on to talk about blank. There's no indication in this call or any others that I received in discovery and listened to that he wanted to distribute blank or videos of Cassie to the media. Instead, he says blankety blank blank. Mr. Combs says next, blankety blank blank. Here, Mr. Combs is referencing an unreleased music video of a song called Stay, part one from a September 2023 album called The Love Album. He stated blankety blank but blank. Again, this is jury tampering. We all know from the Love Album, Little Rod, if you guys haven't watched my channel, we did an interview with him. But we all do know from that, Little Rod said that he made a bunch of songs about Kim Porter and Cassie. Little Rod said that it seemed to be performative. It seemed like he was doing it for just to like maybe get clicks and views, but it didn't really seem like his heart was in it, but he was doing it because he wanted the public to believe. So they're trying to make an argument. He's not harassing Cassie. What are you talking about? He's not trying to intimidate Cassie. But he did have a song that was previously unreleased from his Love album, right? He didn't want to distribute any videos. He didn't want to do anything. But there was a previously unreleased song that we wanted to distribute from the Love album called Stay, that it looks like concerned Cassie or was dedicated to Cassie in some way. However, we do know from the BET Awards that Cassie believes that she has been being antagonized by Diddy through dog whistles and secret words and codes for the whole bulk of last year before she actually filed suit, right? So it would go on to say that you're saying that this one is victim one, who is the government's chief witness, who sued you for horrendous abuse, sex trafficking, all this crazy stuff. You're trying to make us believe, if I can get this straight, that you weren't trying to bully, harass, intimidate, or send subliminals that you will expose them or hurt them. You just wanted the person that not only sued you, but that you paid at least somewhere around 30 million to. Some people say it's more, some people it's less, but baby, it is definitely up there, right? That you paid all this money to, that literally says she wants you to leave her alone and go on with her life. She also told you and every woman else that the reason she even filed is because you mentioning her publicly in the BET Awards. And she said, this is too much. And you're now telling us that when you're in a SMEX trafficking case where you believe she is a chief witness, that you weren't trying to bully, harass, blackmail, or intimidate it. You just wanted check notes. You weren't doing that. You just wanted, let's check this nose. Here, Mr. Combs is referencing an unreleased music video of a song called Stay that's dedicated to this woman that you just paid 30 million because you were harassing her. Diddy's lawyers take us for fools. They really honestly do. Really? This is the best you can do? And I bet you something about that Stay video is somehow harassing her as well. Why are you releasing a previously unreleased music video? On top of that, right? Your music career is over. People are removing your stuff left and right. It makes no sense. I get it. It's an alibi. And Diddy thinks he crossed his T's. And some legal experts actually feel worried, saying, judging by the way that they got one over with the judge at the last hearing, that they might actually get this one over again. But it is a dumb whole thing. I do want to say one thing I have been talking about with people that are close to the issue. And just pause. Let me just go off on a tangent here. Diddy's so eager to get out on bail. His sons want him out. The family, Daddy, we miss you. You love you. The family, the baby old the bandits, three blind mice, the brothers Grimm, Diddy's kids are out there scrapping in the streets for anybody that says anything about their dad. I actually think Diddy might be safer in jail because the same way, right, that he got family that loved him and people, it's the same way that he's messed with so many people that have come forward and sued and people that quietly suffered getting their humanity stripped from them. It only takes one, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Diddy think he's the biggest, baddest thing on the block. So we're going to see. Anyway, right? So Diddy wasn't harassing Cassie or trying to blackmail. He just wanted a previously unreleased music video from his flop album, not because it was a bad album, but because, Diddy's Day at Set, the Love album, you wanted to release a music video about Cassie. All right, let's move on. It's my understanding that blank, i.e. dropping songs and music videos anonymously, is a regular practice in the music industry. That's right. So Diddy not only wanted to drop the previously unreleased music video, and I'm guessing it was previously unreleased because when Cassie's lawsuit came in, they were like, do not drop that. Like, don't do that. It's not the time. She is suing you right now. And you guys are in negotiations. But you guys also wanted to drop it anonymously. So there is something in that video, in that narrative, that Diddy thinks will be very, very helpful. Let's not forget the government said he was running his own PR campaign from inside jail. And you wanted to drop it anonymously. Okay. Anonymously. They probably sent it to, anyway, Fluffy's page. Okay. It's also my understanding that the music video for this song was never blank. I reviewed this music video on the evening of November 20th, 2024, and can confirm that this music video does not reference Cassie. It doesn't have to say Cassie's name, just like Diddy's apology actually didn't reference Cassie. She wasn't referenced at all, but everybody knew that it was supposed to be about Cassie. On top of that, again, and I can't stress this enough, Diddy's team loves to mislead. So the fact that she can say she did this, y'all used up all your lucky charm points when you guys appeared to have misled at best, lied at worst to the court about that to-do list that they photographed, saying it was attorney-client privilege. They said because individual one is Diddy's longtime videographer. That's what's his name? I said bow, bye, whatever. Because individual one is Diddy's longtime videographer, I had asked him to provide me with all the videos he had access to of victim one, as these videos were responsive to request number 23 in the corporate record subpoena. He provided me with these videos, and on October 29th, 2024, I produced 13 videos regarding Cassie, some depicting her and one depicting Diddy regarding her, to the government as part of their rolling subpoena compliance. But here's the thing, again, and I can see where the government's mad. You wanted all these videos, and he was a long time, right? You took all the videos and footage that they had of Diddy and Cassie, and you strategically picked out the ones that you thought made Diddy and Cassie look, made Diddy, sorry, mosquito, made Diddy look best. And that's what you supplied to the government. On November 12, 2024, individual one, that is his longtime videographer, contacted me and stated that the lead case agent approached him and that they were going to meet the next day. I instructed my client immediately to cease contact with individual one. Okay. It is my understanding that now they address the Bureau of Prison calls, the Bureau of Prison calls. It's my understanding that the BOP inmates receive 300 minutes of phone calls per month, with an additional 100 minutes per month in November and December. It is also my understanding and my experience, based on phone calls with my client, that calls are limited to 15 minutes in duration, and that the phone system allows inmates to make one call per hour. As I understand it, inmates will frequently use other inmates' minutes to allow for more than one call in a 1 hour period, and that two more phone calls once the more phone calls once the 300 minutes expire. So here, right? Diddy's team is just dead in the water. They cannot justify why Diddy was breaking the rules. They cannot understand why. And I don't care if everybody in the prison does it, it's still illegal. It's like saying everybody in the store was stealing. Okay, well, we got you. So the police are coming and we're going to lock you up. Again, they skip completely over the Bureau of Prison phone calls. However, besides him doing something that illegal, the government is saying that in the Bureau of Prison phone calls is where he did most of his criminal underlord shit, telling them what to do, demanding analytics, demanding algorithm, demanding this, demanding that, telling people who, what, where, what, and how to move. Literally saying that you need to threaten, you need to buy, you need to coerce, giving them a hit list of people to go after, even people that have counsel already. So I find it interesting that Diddy's people just go completely over the Bureau of Prisons. Okay. Okay. The contactmeasp.com. What is that, right? Contact Me ASAP is apparently an app. It is an email that when you have access to email, you can send text messages to people outside of prison. It's specifically created for people in prison. You can send text messages outside of prison. All right. And through email. So I send an email, you get a text message. Then you text me right back and it comes back as an email. Diddy made a email address that he told the Department of Prisons with his son's email. And that when because he can't have contact with just anyone, has to be on an approved list. So on that approved list, he was contacting his son, right? However, the email was actually to text me ASAP, and he was using that to communicate and move people out on the street. They said after Diddy was incarcerated, the government advised me that they were aware of many contraband cellular devices in the MDC and asked if I would change Diddy's iCloud passwords. I agreed. To date, I have been unable to do so, but have represented to the prosecutors that Diddy does not have, nor does he use, a contraband cellular device. Why haven't you been able to change his passcodes? Christian has access to his Instagram. Everybody else is running his social media. Tell me why you as his attorney cannot change his iCloud passcodes. Okay. Got you. And they're also saying that he does not have, nor does he use a contraband cellular device. We'll see if that's true. Contact Me ASAP and prison calls have been monitored, recorded, and reviewable by SIS officers at the MDC. These communications, with the exception of legal video teleconferences, have subsequently been produced to the government. Since Diddy has been incarcerated, I've been aware of his use of Contact Me ASAP, though I did not have the understanding that it was unauthorized. Again, she is a lawyer, an officer of the court. Ignorance of the law is not a defense for breaking the law. Just because I didn't know it was illegal to murk someone does not mean that I can get off. Just because I didn't know it was illegal to bust out someone's windows or to steal out their house does not mean that I will not be brought up on robbery or vehicle damage. You see what I'm saying? So for her to say, oh my God, I didn't know it was unauthorized, that is incomplete. You actually failed him as a counsel. However, I think what's more likely is Diddy was running reckless in jail. The lawyers didn't know what he was up to. And now they're trying to wipe the egg off their face, and they're trying to save face, and they're trying to save their client by saying, oh no, Your Honor, it was us. Again, they're trying to build a narrative in reverse, okay? I've spoken multiple times with the administrator of this website and confirmed that this method of communication utilized the Bureau of Prisons True Lines court link system and was monitored by BOP officials who were able to monitor every message Diddy sends and receives. Okay, first of all, why didn't you ask the Bureau of Prisons if it was okay for Diddy to use? And this doesn't explain why Diddy gave a fake email address saying it was his son when it was really contact text me, please. On top of that, okay, they're monitoring. So what's the big deal? Like at the end of the day, just because they watch you dig a hole for yourself doesn't mean you didn't dig a hole for yourself. My understanding has now been verified through the government's discovery because we received Diddy's contactmeasap.com messages. The issue wasn't whether they could monitor him. The issue was what was in the message and what it was he was doing. I'm sick of Diddy's team trying to play innocent. Now, the court might not fall for this, but this is grand level jury tampering. They want people that are ignorant to the law. They want people that don't understand quite how things go to actually be like, what's the big deal? The government knew about it. Yeah, but they're also monitoring you and they're making sure you're not doing any dumb stuff and that's why they want your bail denied, because you've been lying and scheming and doing here's the government's point. If inside our secure facility where we have people watching you 24 hours a day and you know everything you do either is, can, or will be, or is being monitored, and you are bold enough to do this ish, what are you going to do if we let you out and you're on your own Star Island? This is the level of balls you have when we're watching you. And you want us to let you out on Star Island? Imagine what he'll do when he doesn't think the government is watching him. On top of that, I do not believe the government has a right to tap his phone calls or his private residence once he is actually out. Anyway, the government never instructed me to refrain from having him use his service, nor has the BOP, because it was a covert operation and they were watching what he was doing. So what if they didn't stop? Again, that's like me saying, you never stopped me from robbing your house. You just sat there and watched me on the security camera. Okay, yeah, and I'm still calling the police. Like, what is your point? What is your point? They said Diddy is no longer using Contact Me ASAP as of November 16th. However, if there was an issue with Contact Me ASAP, right? If there was an issue with Contact Me ASAP, or if there wasn't an issue, right, with Contact Me ASAP, then why did he stop using it? It's all good, right? What do you talk? Why would you stop using something you had a right to use? Okay. On November 13th, the government produced their sixth production of discovery of the defense. Included in the production was blah, 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 which blank from the Intercontinental Hotel incident on March 2016. And then they said, attached, I guess, are the exhibits. On November 15th, I asked the government when they came into possession of the video. The government replied that they came into possession of the video on August 7th, 2024. On November 15th, they retained, this is the Connor McCourt. We retained Connor McCourt as an expert. In connection with his retention on this matter, we provided him with a protective order entered in this case, Exhibit A1. Blah, 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 blah. At my and my counsel's direction, Mr. McCourt created the video attached to this declaration. Okay, I'm confused where they're going in this. Okay, so now they're trying to say that they took the video from the Intercontinental and they made their own version of it. Okay, right? Okay. I guess. Let's see. Let's get into the government's response because the government was not happy with Diddy's BS or Diddy's team's BS, and they are about tired of him. They wrote the judge. They said, listen, the government respectfully submits this letter in advance of the hearing scheduled for November 22nd. In connection with the defendant's renewed motion for bail and in response to the court's inquiry of the relevance of the bail package ordered with the government's consent as defendant Michael Jeffries, United States v. Jeffries. Okay, so if you guys don't remember, in the bail hearing, the judge said, well, what about the Jeffries case? Because that's the Abercrombie people where they're being also accused of sex trafficking, and they were released on a $10 million bail, and they got to have that whole lockup system around their house that Diddy asked for. And the judge said, while he ruled from the bench about excluding evidence without, it seems, actually looking at the evidence that was presented, he said, well, what's different? What's the difference between him being out on bail and Diddy? And the government was like, oh, there's a big difference. And they're like, all right, tell me about it on Friday. The government has already hit back with the response. Let me just read this to you guys really, really quick. Hold on. Okay. So they said, okay. So that's who the Jeffries guy is. For the reasons stated below, the circumstances in Jeffries are an opposite, and provide no support for Diddy's bail application in this instant matter. On October 17th, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of New York returned an indictment charging 3 defendants, including Michael Jeffries. We're going to refer to him as Jeffries, with 1 count of sex trafficking in violation of course, federal statutes, and 15 counts of interstate prostitution in violation. As alleged from approximately 2008 to 2015, Jeffries and his co-defendants operated an international sex trafficking and prostitution business. He allegedly paid for dozens of men to travel within the United States and internationally to meet Jeffries and his co-defendants to engage in commercial blank acts. Now, here's the thing. Everybody is trying to act like Diddy is just going to completely get off on the fact that he literally had all those bouts of prostitution, and he's not. Those also carry heavy federal crimes. This man only has 1 count of sex trafficking and 15 counts of prostitution. Diddy has multiple victims and more are coming forward. He also said that he was literally keeping so many sex workers in business, more than Adam 22 ever could, right? So at the end of the day, well, let me continue because I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just continue really quick, guys. Okay. In addition, Jeffries and his co-defendants relied on a security company to surveil and intimidate witnesses who threatened to expose their misconduct. Following his arrest, the government consented to Jeffries' release on strict bail conditions, including a secured $10 million bail, a $10 million bond, and home detention with electronic monitoring. The defense argues in its renewal bail motion that Diddy is similarly situated to Jeffries and should similarly be released. But beyond superficial similarities, the high-profile positions of the defendants and the sex trafficking charges, the cases are materially different as of multiple factors the court must consider under the Bail Reform Act. First, the nature and circumstances of the offenses are substantially different. Now, while the Jeffries case, which spans from 2008 to 2015, alleges the use of force, fraud, coercion to engage men in non-consensual blink acts, there are no allegations of that Jeffries committed there are no allegations that Jeffries committed non-trafficking related violent acts or that he used firearms during the charge period. The indictment against Diddy alleges both. With respect to the charged offenses, Jeffries does not include a racketeering offense. By contrast, Diddy is charged with leading a racketeering enterprise that engaged in a persistent pattern of racketeering activity from 2008 to 2024. That's right. They're saying Jeffrey ended like almost a decade ago. Diddy is still going on. As a matter of fact, it was going on right up until the time they snatched him. That included repeated acts of violence by Diddy and his co-conspirators, including multiple acts, kidnapping, arson, and forced labor. Further, as detailed in the indictment, Diddy protected and promoted his role in the enterprise through violence, use of firearms. Don't forget, they found those choppers with the serial numbers filed off. Through violence, use of firearms, threats, coercion, and verbal and emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. As recently as March 2024, firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, were recovered from Diddy's residences. Moreover, the defendant's criminal conduct, including acts of obstruction, has persisted through present time. While Jeffries allegedly also engaged in efforts to conceal criminal activity, including through the use of surveillance and threats of litigation to ensure victim silence, that alleged conduct ended in 2015. Here, however, the conduct charged against Diddy extends through 2024. And even since being charged, Diddy has continued his obstructive conduct, including by repeatedly flouting the orders of the court and rules and regulations by the Bureau of Prisons. For all the reasons cited in the government's opposition, it strains it strains believability to believe that Diddy will stop engaging in criminal conduct and abide by conditions of release. Third, the history and characteristics of the two defendants are significantly different. Jeffries is 80 years old with no criminal history. Diddy is decades younger. Further, he's been arrested and investigated multiple times for crimes of violence and obstruction, and as described above, has repeatedly violated Bureau of Prison regulations and the very same gag order he demanded that the court enter into. In sum, Jeffries is materially different from the instant matter. For the reasons stated above and in the government's motions, the defendant's renewed motion for bail should be denied. Should be denied. Y'all, listen. At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, what y'all think? But people are thinking that Diddy is definitely going to get off. They think he is going to walk. Now, listen, if Diddy walks, I know Stevie J is sitting there waiting on the couch with a bad silk Amazon short 2-piece, those gray New Balances kicked up with some white ankle socks, fresh white ankle socks. He got that Palmer's cocoa butter on him, maybe even got a little bit of Soap and Glory, the pistachio caramel body rub. He waiting for his man. He probably got Faith in the background. The record on. Matter of fact, he married to Faith. He probably got Faith in the background crooning. Soon as I get home to you. They probably got Faith singing in the background while there's like candlelight everywhere. Somebody's on the piano. And Stevie J is in a red satin suit. So listen, I know Stevie probably won't be happy to see Diddy get home. But really quick, the live tweeting is about to start. I want to get you guys' opinion. Do you guys think that, let me see if I can put a poll in here. Hold on. The live tweeting is about to start directly from the jail. We have a few other things we can also report on, but put a 1 in the comments if you guys think that Diddy's he ain't getting out of jail, not this time. Put a 2 in the comments if you think that Diddy's team made a very, very good argument and you guys think that judging by the way it went last time, he will get out on bail. So 1, if you think, yeah, I hear you, and ain't it's change, and you staying in there, put a 1. And if you think, all right, listen, they caught the government slipping, and it looks like, as sad as it is, Diddy might get out. Put a 3 in the comments if you happy if Diddy get out, because you think that this is but honestly, no, listen, don't attack anybody. Put a 3 in the comments if you actually think that Diddy will get out, because he should get out, because you guys truly think he's innocent. I want to see where everybody's at. What y'all think? I see a bunch of 1s. I see a bunch of 1s, right? I see a bunch of 1s. I do see some 2s. I see some 2s. Is that what you guys are doing? You guys are preparing for the worst, no, hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. I see a bunch of 1s. I got to be honest with you. There are people in the legal community that actually think that Diddy might walk. I don't see it. I actually think the way he embarrassed the judge last time, I just don't see it happening. I really don't, right? Listen, I get the fact that they haven't, who said, Tisa, they haven't bought out the, hold on. I gotta get comfortable. Somebody said, Tisa, they haven't even bought out the super indictments. That's Monster Hunter. Said, Tisa, they haven't even bought out the super indictments. Wait till the kids come out. Exactly. The kids are literally fighting for their daddy to get out. Y'all need to be worried about going in. Only behind the scenes. Thank you so much for becoming a new member, right? Thank you so much for becoming a new member. A new member. We are going to live tweet. Also, Black Letter Law, our legal eagle. If you want to actually join this live, let us know. Hit me in the text. I'll be happy to actually have you. You know, I always love having you. For you to actually break down, I'll read the live tweets, but you can also give your professional opinion either before the live tweets, now, after live tweets, or whatnot. Hey, Queen Bmar said, can I be a mod? It's needed in this chat. What's going on in the chat? Hold on. What is going on in the chat? Listen, what is going on? You think this is classic sabotage by the feds? I don't think so. Here, let me explain something. Defense lawyers, the best ones, play dirty. If I was looking at spending the rest of my life in jail, I would want y'all at the rules. I want y'all to do everything y'all can. Literally everything y'all can, short of making a deal with the devil. Okay, so listen, hold on. So listen, we have Black Letter Law, and she's given a little bit of things, right? So, let's see. Listen. So, and she says she doesn't think Diddy is getting out or at all. Let me ask her, why is that? She might join us via audio. Hold on, right? She might join via audio. Okay, you guys, listen, we're going to get Black Letter Law in here to actually join by audio to let us know why she doesn't think that Diddy is actually getting out. And again, she is a very, very, very well-respected lawyer. She knows her stuff. She's also on YouTube as well. You guys make sure you actually support Black Letter Law. But I actually want to hear her thing about why she thinks that Diddy will not get out. She did give a few notes. She's about to join us on audio. But listen, she said she doesn't think he's getting out. He's probably giving everyone hell by calling them and multiple times. There's nothing more stressful, one can say, than continuously getting calls all day from someone in custody, okay? Especially when they don't. And again, she takes her lawyer duties very seriously. Let me put it in the context. It's not the fact that she feels annoyed by people, but when you are in custody, it is a very scary thing, but you must trust your lawyer. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you have to trust that your lawyer is fighting for you and they're giving you sound advice. When your client does not trust you, it is a recipe for disaster, because 9 times out of 10, people don't understand the way the law works. I know it's on paper, but your lawyer will tell you the way it actually works. Moreover, she said there's also questions as to whether Diddy can be controlled, right? She's pretty sure that his lawyers or any lawyer told him not to talk to anybody in jail. Okay. Listen, however, people will say that you can't tell a grown man what to do. Okay. Some will argue that can Diddy's lawyers actually handle him? Is he actually unmanageable? Okay. I will say, if Black Letter Law was on the team, she would get him together. Okay, let's get back in to this mess. I have more court docs to read. The live chat is going to be starting very, very, very soon. Let's get into this. 1 second, you guys. We're just breaking for pulling up what's going on directly in the going on directly in the court. Now, Diddy is being brought into the courthouse right now. He's actually been there, but he will be brought into the courtroom in just a few moments. So listen, back to the chat. While we're pulling up the rest of these legal documents, who do you honestly think is going to actually, do you think Diddy's going to be released? Put 1 in the comments if you think Diddy is going to be released. All right. Also, oh wait, sorry. Where are you, Queen? I'm trying to make you a mod, Queen. Sorry about that. Hold on, Queen. Let me see if I can make you a mod. Hold on, it's going to take a second. Hold on, this is going to take a second. I'm just adding a mod to this chat. Once the live thing starts doing, we will be good. Okay, so you guys, put a 1 in the chat if you think he's going to be released. Put a 2 if you do not think he's going to. I'm sorry, put a 1 in the chat if you don't think he's going to be released. And put a 2 in the chat if you think that Diddy's lawyers, they playing dirty, but you think they are actually doing the job that they were paid for them to do. It's very scary to think of a world where Diddy gets out for a number of reasons. I think the biggest one is Diddy has a lot of people that are not on his side. Diddy has a lot of people that want to see him actually go down. Diddy has, and again, as much as Diddy's team thinks that Diddy is untouchable, and as much as his sons think they're untouchable, I feel like he's hurt way too many people for it ever to be anything different than actually what it is. All right. Okay. So here we go. Let me just get Queen. Queen, drop a chat so I can make you a mod. I'm looking for your thing. Is this you? No? Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Queen. Here we go. And okay. There you go. Don't go crazy, but go crazy. You know what to do. Okay, so anyway, let's get into this. Thank you so much, Queen Be More. All right, so where are we at? It is going to start any moment. Side note, Tony Busby is also being sued by one of his clients for assault. The lawyer representing more than 120 alleged victims of Diddy has now himself been sued for assault. The woman suing as Jane Doe alleges that he assaulted her while repping her in a divorce case. She claims that the attorney flew into a fit of rage and allegedly pushed the champagne flute into her face, chipping her tooth. She says she has both medical and dental records to prove her injury. I don't know. This is interesting. I do think Tony Busby should be worried. They're going to try and get him and make him the new Michael Avenatti, but I guess it's different because Michael Avenatti tried to take down the literal U.S. president, all right? Diddy and his associates are far from that. Where else? Oh, also, Diddy's team is also now walking back the fact that Diddy is the belle of the ball in the Manhattan district. Remember when they were saying Diddy got groupies? Everybody's fighting to make Diddy's bed. Everybody's fighting to do this and do that. I'll say this. I think that they were actually fighting because they wanted to see who could tap his room. Literally, that seems more believable. Think about it. You got Diddy in there. If you can get him to start talking, you might get out or good behavior. The feds are very generous to people that actually help them and do this. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's get into inner Diddt. Okay. Let's get into the Inner City Press. Also, shout out to Inner City Press on Twitter. They are doing all the heavy lifting. And we are getting into the live tweeting. Let's get into this. Okay, we are waiting for Diddy to enter the court case. We are waiting. They filed the bail hearing. Where are we at? And let's actually see if they can get away with this. I find it very, very odd that they're even going this far, but we will see. Let's get into this. Also, you guys, I'm on Blue Sky. I know I'm following everybody back this week. If I haven't got to you, just hold on. I'm going to be following a lot of people. It's just a lot to do. Okay. All right. Hold on. We are also getting our legal eagle into this. Let's get Black Letter Law give her legal opinion about whether Diddy will actually get in or get out. I promise you, she is so knowledgeable and she just makes the time go by. I think this is actually really good for everybody to get into. Okay, she'll be joining us in just 1 second. And right now, Diddy has been bought into, he is in the MDC. They are preparing to literally get him into court. Let's see if he walks in laughing and smiling. Diddy somehow thinks that if he walks in acting like he don't got any worries, it's going to go a long way. As much as we don't think so, Diddy has enlisted some very, very high-priced, powerful PR people to help him with his image as he walks into court, how he looks and what he's doing. Everything you hear be released about Diddy, if it is from TMZ, it is directly from Diddy's team. They are trying to make him look like he is cool, he is confident, he is a boss, and they are trying to make it look like he is 100% on his job. Now, is he? We're going to have to wait to see. All right, Diddy has been brought into court, and we are just waiting for the judge to actually enter the courtroom. We are waiting for the judge to enter the courtroom. Let's see, what are we? We're waiting for the judge to enter the courtroom. All right. The lawyers have replied. Go ahead and rewind if you are really ready. We'll see what happens. Let's get into this with Inner City Press. This is exciting, but it's also a little scary, you guys. If Diddy is actually released, I mean, knowing him, he's probably going to be put back in, right? Okay. So this is the live tweet, Inner City Press. Let's get into this. Okay. So the judge has not entered the chambers. Diddy is in MDMC. Diddy's lawyers are there. It's interesting to see on whether Mr. Rico, Attorney Rico, is there. We do know Shapiro will be there. Also, Geragos and Tinny, since she actually wrote a lot of the opposition, I wonder if she will be there, along with what U.S. attorneys. Let's get into this. Again, we are hoping also that the tapes can actually be released. Oh, hold on. We got Black Letter Law right here. She is going to be joining us via audio. Hey, Appy, how are you?
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, girl. We are waiting for Diddy he is in the MDC. The judge has not taken the bench. So we want to get your opinion while we're doing this. And I'm going to be reading the live tweets. But the question everybody has, and you are a very esteemed lawyer and your knowledge of the law is very, very vast. Do you think that Diddy will be released on bail?
I don't, but I will say I was surprised that he didn't get bail initially. But I don't think he'll get it because of the witness intimidation factor. I think he's shown over and over again that he cannot be controlled by his attorneys. Like there's nothing you can do to stop him from trying to reach out to witnesses. And I think what we've seen over the course of all of the filings, all of the letters, the motions, the memoranda, is that he will harass someone. He will call them. He will email them. He will email them multiple times. To try and get in touch with them. And I think that's what you're going to have if he's released. And we're kind of reading the paperwork about the BOP raid. And I do believe that they're going to talk today about the raid and whether that information is like, I don't know if they're going to try and use that information to show that he's been trying to intimidate witnesses, or if they're going to argue that I think they're going to argue that it's some type of attorney-client privilege today.
Okay, but you said a couple of things that really have me interested. One, you said that you were actually surprised that he was denied bail the first time. Could you expand on that before we get to the current stuff?
Yeah, well, everybody knows who he is. He's a purported billionaire. He's been in the community for years. People believe, or he purports himself to be a pillar of the community. He's not going anywhere. Also, just the nature of the charges, they pretty much mirrored, Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. So we didn't see all of the alleged victims that we see now from the civil cases. So I really didn't see a reason why he shouldn't get bail. I don't know that the defense couldn't overcome the argument that he's a danger to the community. So I thought he was going to get bail. But what I did not know was all of the harassment issues and the witness intimidation. I think that's a major factor in why he was denied bail and why he will be continue to be denied bail.
That's very interesting. Really quick, just to interject, the live tweeting from the courtroom has said in the courtroom, Diddy's attorney, Tony Rico, has come back into the gallery to speak with Diddy supporters. Alexandra Shapiro is sitting reading from a binder. 4 prosecutors are in the front row. They said there is a drum roll. This is a very tense, this is a tense energy in the courtroom. He says Diddy is brought in wearing MDC jail tan uniform. He makes a point of hugging his lawyer, Mark Agnifilio, then sits down and he's chatting with Rico. So the judge has not come in. Okay, so let's jump into, just to give you guys an update. When the judge comes in, we will jump into the live tweeting while we have Alfie, give us her 2 cents. When I said this girl is knowledgeable and so easy to listen to, easy on the eyes too, if we can see her face. I think
not
you
today. Let's put some lip gloss on or something.
But the bail hearing has begun. So you're saying that based off, before you got into the witness intimidation and whatnot, you thought, okay, it's bad, but he'll be denied bail because he would get bail because it's a high burden. But after you found out the intimidation, you said bail's not happening. What do you think about what happened at the last bail hearing where the judge decided to exclude the 2 pieces of evidence, which was his to-do list that they said was attorney-client privilege, okay? But then the judge issued this weird memorandum saying, wait a second, you said this had legal written on it, but we don't see it in the evidence. I thought it was very odd. And again, I'm a layman, you're an expert. I thought it was very odd that the judge issued a ruling excluding evidence without actually looking at the actual photos to see if it matched up to the evidence Diddy was actually giving. What was your take on that?
I don't know. I read it briefly, at midnight last night, and I thought the judge made an order saying that today they were supposed to explain it. I don't exactly know how everything happened. I think I'm just trying to recollect.
Well, let me tell you what happened. So the judge said the judge, Mark Agnifilio, said that the Diddy's notes were privileged. You guys, the
Right.
judge has not taken the bench, but Diddy has come in and had this lawyer, Mark Agnifilio. Okay. We're going to
Was
start
he in
live.
cuffs? Because I know that they made the request to say that like he shouldn't be cuffed when he's brought into the
So I
courtroom.
believe
I thought
right
that was
now they're not
interesting.
saying he's in cuffs, so he might be unshackled, but we're going to verify that detail. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So what happened with Diddy and this evidence is Mark Agnifilio said that these were work product. It was clearly labeled legal. The judge said, wait, you mean to tell me it was labeled legal and they still took pictures of it? He said, yeah. He handed the judge 2 pictures, which were the pictures that the filter team, right? 2 pictures that the filter team actually took. Okay. The judge then said, and then Mark Agnifilio showed him a binder saying, Your Honor, this is the exact binder he had. See, it's marked legal. The judge then ruled from the bench that everything could be excluded. After that, though, he said that he actually looked at the photographic evidence, and nowhere on the photographic evidence that he was handed does it say legal anywhere. So he wants Mark Agnifilio to explain where and I thought it was odd that the judge seemed to make a ruling.
I would look at it like this, just off the cuff. I'm thinking that Mark Agnifilio, he's an officer of the court, so he's going to make a representation based on his belief, and you want to believe the veracity and the truth that is presented to you by an officer of the court. And if there's no objection by the opposing party, I don't see why the judge wouldn't say, hey, we're going to exclude this. We're going to grant your request to mark all of this as attorney-client privilege. That's the first thing I can think of off the cuff.
Okay. So then why would the thing is, the judge took their word for it and then said, we're going to exclude this. So if he took the prosecution's word, because the prosecution was like, no, Your Honor, we don't know what he's talking about. But they said, can we exclude it? They said, fine, because we have other evidence. So then why go back and say, wait a second, what happened there?
I think again, procedurally, I don't know what happened. I don't know why the prosecution wouldn't have objected to it. From what I read last night, it was just a letter that was presented, and I just going back to what I said earlier.
That until you have all the facts. I know you like impact, so we can move past that until you have more. Quick update from what's going on in the courtroom while they're waiting on the Judge Aaron to come in. They've noted that Diddy and his lawyers are sitting at the middle of 3 tables. So the 2 U.S. Marshals, rather than directly behind the defendant, as is usually the case, are on the sides. So usually the U.S. Marshals come and they sit right behind the defendant just in case Diddy tries to jump scared, act tough. But this time, since there's 3 tables, they are sitting right beside at a different table of Diddy. And of course, the defense counsel is actually sitting there as well. There's no reports on whether Diddy is unshackled. They did put in a request that he not be shackled in court on the 19th. It looks like that request might have been granted. I will just say something, unless somebody is a violent offender, and when I say violent, I mean like murderer or psychotic, I tend to not like the look of people in shackles to begin with. But, in cases where it is sex trafficking or whatever, I think the visual actually serves the public better, because we cannot let people who are charismatic, you ever forget how dangerous they are. Now, it could be very, very prejudicial, of course, but, it is what it is. Where are we at with that? So we're still waiting for the judge. Diddy is wearing his jail tan uniform, and he's hugging his lawyer, Mark Agnifilio, who is sitting there chatting with Rico. Let me ask you this whole thing about Diddy making calls from the jail using an email system that was registered, an email address that was registered to his son, to actually text with people on the outside. Diddy's team really jumps over that, trying to act like it is no big deal. What is your stance on that? Because it's definitely in violation of BOP. Do you think that's we're making it a bigger issue than it actually is?
No, I think it's a huge issue, and I think it goes again to him just just kind of the argument is that, he kind of scoffs at the law. He believes that he's bigger than the law and the rules don't apply to him. And yeah, the thing is everybody there's all sorts of contraband in when you're in custody, when you're in prison, when you're in jail. And I don't necessarily mean drugs, but any contraband is anything that you shouldn't have. So everybody does it. I remember when I first started practicing criminal law, I'd get these collect calls from my clients on cell phones, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? But it's everywhere. It happens. It's pervasive. Everybody knows. But I think you said something earlier. It's kind of like if everybody is speeding on the interstate and going 90 miles an hour in a 30, and you're the only one that gets caught, you can't say, well, hey, why didn't you stop Billy, Bob, and George? Well, they stopped you. So you have to suffer the consequences. But I think it's so interesting in this situation, and I don't know what Sean knows and doesn't know, but every inmate, everything they do, they're not your friend. It's all about shaving time. Anything that they can do to leverage, what they have and their resources, they're going to put toward shaving their time. So, it's really hard for attorneys. Like I had to learn, you can't just tell your client, hey, don't talk to anybody. You have to give them tools. And I'm not saying this as a pro Diddy person, but just as a defense attorney, you can't just say, hey, don't talk to an inmate, don't mention anything about your case. You have to give them tools to help them survive. You can't just say, I'm not going to talk to you. You have to just help them be able to navigate their situation, or you're just going to be, trading favors, getting on people's cell phones, learning tricks to email people and intimidate witnesses. So.
Exactly. Now, really quick, you guys, we have movement in the courtroom. This is directly from the courtroom, live tweeting. All rise. Combs' lawyer, Esquire Rico. He says, the family of Mr. Sean Love Combs are here. They traveled a long way. The judge interjects. Thank you for being here. Mr. Agnifilio, tell me about the legal pads. Diddy's lawyers, Mark Agnifilio. The first time I saw them was Tuesday. Now, again, this goes into the legal pads and the way they hit the ground running. The judge is hot. It was actually, in my opinion, very embarrassing for the judge, but there's more. Diddy's lawyer goes on to say, the first time I saw these legal pads was Tuesday. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Mark Agnifilio. The first time I saw them was Tuesday, Yana. As we sit here today, I'm not sure when legal was written on each of them. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Different members of the defense team was telling him to write legal on the pads. There's a photo of a pad without legal of it. So this is actually really, really striking. In the courtroom, Mark Agnifilio is now walking back the sole basis that they demanded an emergency hearing. They said that Diddy's legal attorney-client privilege protected work product had been confiscated improperly through the Bureau of Prisons. They went as far as to say that the prosecution was the one behind the Bureau of Prison raid. They saw it was clearly marked legal on the papers. They took pictures anyway. They said this is a violation of, they believe they have a Constitution, a Fifth Amendment violation. They asked for an ex parte trial to actually have about the Constitution, Fifth Amendment violations, attorney-client work product privilege. And now he's saying that he doesn't even know what's going on. He only learned of this Tuesday, and a lot of people were telling him to say legal, and he doesn't know where the pad is that had legal written on it. To me, this is a stunning backtrack. He literally is like, wait, what? Listen, he goes on to say, there's more. He goes on to say, again, as we sit here today, I'm not sure when legal was written on each of them. He called the emergency meeting. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. You called an emergency hearing. Different members of the defense team were telling him to write legal on the pads. There's a photo of a pad without legal on it. This is ridiculous. What's your opinion of that?
I don't
of that
know. Can I
response.
just say, like, I don't know how I don't even, I feel like it goes without saying. It's a legal pad. Like, how did you get the legal pad in prison? Like, that would be my argument. Like, I don't even have to write legal on it. It's a freaking legal pad. Everybody knows it's a legal pad. You know, you use it to take notes. It's probably going to be given to you by a lawyer or some agent of your attorney. Like that, I would, you know, damn the writing legal on it. You know what it is.
Of course, but let's not forget that their whole point was that it was legal written on it. Now, let me just play devil's advocate,
Yeah.
right? Do you think because the Search and Bureau of Prisons photographed pictures, they photographed pictures, they photographed the
Mhm.
pad when it was actually dropped, right? And then they didn't remove it from Diddy's cell. Diddy's team is saying that these photographs, that this is the pad that had legal. Could
Mhm.
it be that Diddy wrote legal on the pads after they took the pictures?
Afterwards, maybe.
Afterwards. Now, Mark Agnifilio goes on to say, so it's clear that and this is directly from, oh my God, they actually really did do that. This is what Diddy's lawyer now just told the judge. This is real-time tweeting. Yeah, so it's clear that on November 1st, the suite, they did not all say legal. The judge interjects. The pad you handed up to me, did it say legal on it on November 1st? Diddy's lawyer, Yana, I'm not sure. The judge said, the judge said, moving forward, make sure representations are true.
Did I not say that? A representation of the judge took the word of an officer of the court.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Again, we can also argue that the prosecutors didn't catch that also in the original argument. At the end of the day, the judge is the judge. The prosecution's job is to defend the word of the government to the T of the law. You are defending the United States and the people of the United States. The fact that the judge might not have taken a close look and connected it, I get it, but at the end of the day, that's the prosecution's job to connect things for the judge, okay? But it goes on to say, the judge, and again, the judge seems to be pissed. He embarrassed the judge. He said, moving forward, make sure representations are true. The judge acknowledges that they represented that it was marked legal on November 1st. Because if not, their whole argument for that emergency hearing kind of falls apart. I know you can say, oh my God, it was a legal pad, but to-do lists, there's a little gray area. Anyway, let's get into it. The judge then says, Ms. Slavic, that's the U.S. attorney, what's the status of Mr. Combs' laptop? The U.S. attorney says, the laptop for him to review the discovery at the NDC. The idea is to preload the information he's allowed to have at the NDC on the laptop. There is a protective order. So they're moving into the point of the laptop. Diddy wants a laptop with free range because he says he needs it for his defense. The judge is, the U.S. attorney is contending, you don't need free access to the World Wide Web. We don't trust you, but we will preload all of the documents onto the laptop, so you have no reason that you need to go on Wi-Fi. Also, let me just interject. Paul Harrison, thank you so much for your generous super chat. You said, hey, T-Sav, I was recently talking with the DN podcast. She's now monetized. Shout out to God's glory. You're truly a great friend. Diddy is not getting out. If he does, justice has been compromised. I completely agree with you, Paul Harrison. And thank you so much for that generous super chat. Justice has been compromised. All right, really quick before we get into the rest of the live treating, this is directly up to the minute of what is going on in the trial. And Queen B More, thank you so much for modding. Let me know if any other mods are in here. Nicole 2282, Bia and Rim, thank you for modding too. Nicole 2282, thank you so much for becoming a member. B Crumbs, thank you for gifting a membership. Sinead Ryan, thank you so much for becoming a member. You guys, make sure you thank B Crumbs for that membership. Belinda Sandage, thank you so much for becoming a member. Facing Truth said, let's send up a prayer to all the victims. Exactly. Thank you, Facing Truth. Danese TV said, no Diddy No Diddy, but money is the root of all evil. Well, if he gets out, it's more content for us creators. Nah. Cynthia Thomas, thank you so much for becoming a member. And also, really quick, Facing Truth said it's funny how Diddy didn't want the shackles on, but those legs kicked and stomped Cassie. You know what? That's true.
Oh, wow.
That is true. Okay, more importantly, right? Where are we at with this live tweeting? They are now arguing their point on what's going on with the laptop. Okay, let's get into this. The judge says on the bail application, I don't have to deal with the Bustani case. The defense is saying there are extensive conditions proposed, including 24/7 security. What about the Fox case? The U.S. attorney says there was no RICO charge in that case, judge. Agreed. Again, the judge is now switched into arguing about whether there are similar cases to Diddy where the government gave bail based on even the present level of danger. And in Diddy's case, so Diddy is trying to prove that one of these things are not like the other. You are treating me unfairly. The whatchamacallit, the prosecution keeps pointing out there's a lot. They don't have a RICO case. They don't have an obstruction case. They don't have this. Again, it seems like the judge is very, very sure. It seems like the judge might be a little intent on actually releasing Diddy today. Really quick, while we're waiting for the next live tweet to come through, what do you say about, is it usually judge? Oh, here we go. There's another tweet. The judge says, but I want you to address the proposed conditions. The U.S. attorney shoots back. There has to be some level of trust that the defendant will follow him. Here, he will not. He can, and they're trying to say at this point, the U.S. attorney doesn't even believe, to your point, that Diddy's lawyers can control him. They said there has to be some level of trust that the defendant will follow his lawyer, Mark Agnifilio. Here, he will not. Diddy cannot be trusted. Consider his conduct in custody after 2 judges' findings. Really quick, while we're waiting in for the next tweet to come in, what do you feel about that? With the fact that Diddy's lawyers do not seem to be able to control him very well.
They can't control him. We've seen that from the very beginning. He's going to do what he wants to do, to his own peril. That's without question. But I was looking up the charges for the Abercrombie and Fitch, the former CEO. And then I was thinking also about the RICO charges. It doesn't take much to, get RICO charges. It literally, it has to, we all saw it with the YSL case. And I think on the federal level, you can be one person. Like we think RICO and we think, oh, like the mob, or we think, gang members, that's what we think, but you can literally be one person and make up a criminal enterprise. And you only have to do, I think it's within a 10-year period. I have to look it up, but you have to be guilty of two crimes within a 10-year period that benefit this criminal enterprise. To me, it's very vague. And that's why it's, to me, very challenging to defend against. But okay. I'm thinking the Abercrombie and Fitch, were there not minors involved in their charges?
There were minors involved. Actually, they say sex trafficking and they say 15 counts of prostituting. They didn't, when I read what the government, when they actually outlined what the differences were, they didn't mention children being involved, but that might be because they say they didn't mention children being involved in their memo to the judge that I read. There might be more to it. Really quick, just to interrupt, we have a little bit more live tweets coming from the courtroom just to catch everybody up the base. The judge says, but I want to address the proposed conditions. The U.S. attorney says there has to be some level of trust that the defendant will follow his legal counsel. Here, he will not. Diddy cannot be trusted. Consider his conduct in custody after 2 judges' finding. His attorneys are enabling his flouting of the prison appeal rule prison rules. Consider the labeling of the pads after the fact. The U.S. Attorney's Office are basically saying Diddy is a liar. These pads were labeled as legal work product after the fact, and they still called an emergency hearing. Even family members, but the judge cuts her off. What's your response if Mr. Combs says, even if they don't trust me, there'd be 24/7 security? So, interesting enough, they said, and I want to hear, I hope the U.S. attorney finishes their sentence. You guys, this is live tweeting directly from the trial. You're not going to get anything more up and thing. There is the inner city press reporter on the scene tweeting live, right? He says that, again, he says that even family members, that's what the U.S. attorney said before the judge caught them off. I'd like her to finish this story about the family members, because right now there are approved people for the prison system. I assume the people he talked to the most, besides his lawyers, are in fact family members. What do you say about the fact of people, critics that can say that, and I want you to hold this question in your head because we have one more tweet coming through, that Diddy has opened the door to his sons being wrapped up in the RICO conspiracy if the government consistently successfully prove that he is obstructing justice from the jail cell. Now hold that thought. Let me get into the next tweet. The U.S. attorney goes on to say, this is after the judge says, what is your response if Diddy says, even if you don't trust me, there'd be 24/7 security? U.S. attorney, if he can't comply in a custodial setting, he will not comply if released. What type of security firm? They suggested a co-conspirator, one whose phone was taken only the day before. The second suggestion was a defense investigator in this case. Oh my God.
They're trying.
Maniac. So,
they're trying.
You guys, he is a maniac. And I want to get your oh, hold on. It's more. The investigator has been out contacting witnesses, Your Honor. Essentially, they work for him. This would be the defendant buying his way out. The judge said, you conceded that Bustani's bar does not apply here. You've cited his wealth to release him. So can't he use it? Why do you think the judge is being so, I guess there's a presumption that somebody should be out on bail. It goes against the Constitution to hold somebody if they, it goes, I'm not going to get into a whole like history lesson, but it goes against the Constitution to actually hold somebody in jail without bail. There is a presumption that the government says, let's put you out on bail. I guess they are making sure that the U.S. attorney proves their case, because it's a high burden to reach beyond a preponderance of the doubt that he should be denied bail. Again, just really quick, because I want to get your take on this. Let me just read this. They said if he can't comply in a custodial setting, he will not comply released. What type of security firm? The investigator has been out contacting witnesses. Essentially, they work for him. This would be the defendant buying his way out. They're saying that this is the one they suggested a co-conspirator. I want to see who they suggested, because that's important. One whose phone was taken only the day before. The second suggestion was a defense investigator in this case. Okay, so that's where we are. What's your take on that?
I would say, the defense counsel can suggest that they'll take a neutral firm recommended by the government. If they're uncomfortable with the selections that the defense has made. That would be my first thought, because.
But pause, because let me just interrupt really quick. We have a few more tweets, but I want you to hold this rebuttal in your head. But if we can't control them in prison when he's being monitored 100% in a literal cage, why would we trust him to be out on the open?
I think that's a great argument. No, I think that's a great argument. Like,
Okay.
I don't have a response to that other than saying, what evidence do you have that I'm doing something improper in prison? The only evidence that you have is what's been happening on or whatever you retrieve from these say legal pads, or the fact that you think I'm doing some roundabout method to contact somebody via email.
But it not that he thinks. They actually said in court he is doing roundabout method. He's been
Yeah.
contacting third parties. He's had his son and a co-conspirator, the same co-conspirator that he wanted to head his security team, that he proposed to the court, run investigations on potential witnesses that had nothing to do with what his attorneys were doing. Again, you have the right to investigate, but we are running a RICO organization. So why wasn't your attorneys involved in it? Let me get to the rest of these tweets. Just hold that in your head, okay? Because I know you got to get rebuttal. Hold on. Okay. They said, okay, so they go on to say, we're not seeking his continued detention based on his wealth, but rather danger, his risk of flight and obstruction. The judge says, is obstruction your main argument? The U.S. Attorney's Office said danger to others is. The judge says, so not risk of flight? The U.S. Attorney, we will still rely on that too. Okay, so they're getting to the nitty-gritty of it. Let's see if any more tweets. Oh, there's more tweets coming in. This is, guys, this is real-time tweets directly from the courtroom. The judge says, tell me more about obstruction. The U.S. Attorney, his continuing violation of rules. The judge is running a PR campaign obstruction. U.S. Attorney's Office. That's not what we have here, Your Honor. Rather, it's his concerted effort to impact the integrity of these proceedings. Let's see if there's another one that comes through. Okay, so we have a little pause while our in-house reporter is typing things up. Why don't you jump in really quick and let us know what's your take on this?
First of all, I love a federal court judge. Like, they're always going to be, I think, fair and balanced, and they're going to get out both sides. So, it may seem like he's arguing even for Diddy right now, but he's not. He's really doing what a neutral, detached party should do. And he's going to also hammer the defense at the same time. But I think the point was made with these proposed people who would monitor Diddy should he be out, is that they are third party actors. They are surrogates for Diddy and his alleged intimidation campaign, not a what do you call it, like a publicity or a rehabbing his image campaign. But they are third party actors and surrogates serving as individuals who are intimidating witnesses.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Thank you for being patient. I'm loving the commentary, but there's something breaking that just happened live tweeting in the courtroom. They actually quote Diddy in one of these jailhouse calls. This is going to blow everybody's mind. Listen to this and let me know how damning you think this is. Okay, so the judge says, tell me about the instruction. They say, Your Honor, he's continuing the violation of rules. They said he's running a PR campaign obstruction. They said that's not what we have here. Rather, it's his concerted effort to impact the integrity of the proceedings. Your Honor, we have him on tape saying, I want to reach out to jurors. I only need one. The judge says he's not permitted to engage in any contact to impact the jury pool. The U.S. Attorney's Office, Your Honor, his intent is obstructive conduct. He's violated the so-called gag order. He's the one that asked for that order, Your Honor. Okay, hold on. There's more drama going on. Okay, so they're still live tweeting. What do you think of that?
I love it. It's not going to be a cakewalk for the prosecution. I mean, I think it's good. But I think that the judge is doing everything that he's supposed to do, getting everything on the record. Especially if he's going to deny bail. He's getting every argument out. I think it's fantastic. Again, I thought he should have had a bond the first time. But it's like, what can the U.S. government present other than him trying to disturb the jury pool? Because you can say that they try to do the very same thing with the CNN release. Because I've always said CNN is the feds. Like, they were definitely fed that video, in my opinion. And was that not trying to muddy up the jury pool in the first place? So,
okay. But let's get back into this while we're waiting for the last one, right? Because you make a good point. And again, Black Letter Law is a defense attorney. And even though we hope Diddy goes to jail, away for a very, very long time. I will admit and concede, of course, rules are rules. And for every Diddy who's a horrible monster that literally needs to pay, there are a bunch of innocent men and women standing in front of federal court. The rules are meant to protect the innocent, right? Innocent until proven guilty, even though we know Diddy is not innocent. But let's get back to this, the co-conspirator, because I think this is actually super, super interesting. And let me ask how this hits you. You guys, if you guys are just joining us, we are live tweeting directly from the courtroom. What is going on? As soon as those little fingers can type, we are getting information in real time. But let's get back into this. This is super interesting. Who is Diddy's co-conspirator? And why is Diddy's legal team, in my opinion, so sloppy? The very firm you wanted the judge to think is neutral, you had that same firm investigating and contacting witnesses on Diddy's behalf. Also, I'm sure they're happy to hear, and also I do want to say this, I'm sure these new people are happy to hear that they are being referred to as co-conspirators in this trial. What do you say for that? Really quick before you answer, Maja Key says, Tisa, my husband just stated that if Diddy gets released on bail, the world is effed up. Listen, Alfie is doing a great job of being a defense attorney, but I agree with your husband, Maja Keys. Big Crumbs, thank you so much for gifting 5 Title Tales memberships. You guys, make sure you say thank you to Big Crumbs. Tina Williams, thank you so much for becoming a new member. And Maggie, thank you so much for becoming a new member. Really quick, while I'm trying to see if we have more live tweets, why don't you give me your opinion on that?
I think, what I haven't heard yet on the live tweeting is the prosecution saying, this is a person that he's harassed. This is another person that he's harassed. This is how he's making contact with witnesses. Like, they haven't really put forth any evidence on that. So I think that's the most damning thing that would keep him behind bars. That would, get him denied a bond.
Okay. We have a new tweet coming in. Sorry to interrupt. Hold that thought. We're going to come back to it. The U.S. attorney says, no, Your Honor, it's different. His intent, it's obstructive conduct. He violated the so-called gag order.
Sorry.
He's the one that asked for that order. The U.S. attorney goes on to say, the court entered the order on October 25th. He started his campaign on October 27th. He couldn't even comply for 2 days. The judge says, what about the Jeffries Abercrombie case where the government agreed to release a $10 million bond? The U.S. Attorney Office says, Your Honor, we wrote you a letter about that, which they did write a letter and we read it. Why is the judge acting like he is not reading anything? Is that normal? Alfie?
Oh, sorry. I'm reading the comments.
Hold on. Well, there's more. Sorry. There's more. Another tweet just came in. The U.S. attorney went on to say, I think the better comparison is to the 2 prior denials of bail here. The judge says, what about his claim the government spliced the video? The U.S. attorney's office said he apologized. That's the point. The judge said, why did you use the spliced video, not the original? The U.S. attorney's office said the video was public, Your Honor. Oh, I'm sorry. He's saying he apologized. That's the point. And he said the apology was public. So now the government is saying, the judge is saying, why did you use the spliced video and not the original video? So go on, Alfie. I'm sorry. Jump in and give your take.
No, why did they? I would love to know, why did they use the spliced video? But it doesn't really matter. The substantive part of the video is him kicking her and dragging her back. I don't know, what splicing really did, other than show different angles. So I think I would just, my position would be the substance of the video is what's important, and that wasn't broken up, that wasn't spliced. It's the meat and potatoes of the issue.
Okay, I don't mean to interrupt you. We have another tweet coming in. Forgive me if I keep interrupting you. I will keep bringing you back to your point. I just want to make sure we get up to the minute, okay? The U.S. Attorney's Office says the cell phone footage was grand jury material, and we didn't want the defendant to be able to retaliate against a grand jury witness. We did add blurring of the victim's face. And in 2016, the defendant bribed hotel security $100,000. It wasn't even 50. It was $100,000 to make it go away. Here's what I want to say about the splice. While we're waiting for the next, so the government asks, why did you splice the video, right? And not show the original. The video was actually shown on CNN. How is Diddy's team certain? And I get the fact that the federal government doesn't want to admit that they gave it to CNN, whether they gave it or not. I really don't care, right? Because they are allowed to do anything they need to do. It's not confidential information, but how are they not so certain that CNN didn't splice the video and put it together? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, even their arguments like, oh, that it was spliced. Okay, so CNN spliced it. Sue it. Like, what are, like you said, at the end of the day, you are doing these things, even though they came with a novel defense that it was spliced to make him look more dangerous because he didn't actually throw a vase at Cassie. He threw it past Cassie. So
did we miss the kick? I don't even see the vase. Did we miss the kick?
Exactly.
The kick and drag.
The vase was the least
of my worries.
So a couple of cute new things that have come up. The cell phone footage was grand jury material. Apparently there was some type of cell phone footage. What was the cell phone footage? They don't explain that. Also, go on.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying we're getting strangely close to an admission by the government saying that they passed the video to CNN.
Oh, here's the thing. They're never saying, well, again, we've said from the beginning, where else did you get the video from? They said that we did add blurring of the victim's face. So they're even saying they didn't do much splicing. They just said we added blurring of the victim's face. And Diddy bribed the hotel $100,000 to try to make it go away. Then the judge actually says, the judge responds, you guys, this is actual live tweeting of what's going on in the courtroom. No cameras are allowed in federal court. The only people that can do is live tweeting, or after you can come out and actually speak. The U.S. Attorney Office, does it matter if he threw a vase or the contents of the vase? He admitted to it and apologized for it. This took place in the middle of a freak off, Your Honor. The U.S. has evidence of a male commercial sex worker was in the hotel room at the time. So now they're saying they have evidence that there was an actual sex worker at that time. Diddy's attorneys in their letters yesterday, or I believe in the hearing yesterday or Wednesday, literally said it was a consensual relationship. There was no freak off going on. The feds are now saying they have evidence that there was a male blank worker in the room and a freak off was actually happening. Again, it seems like Diddy's team has been caught in another lie, or at the very least, Diddy's team seems to be wrangling with meanings. If somebody is actually a victim, it was actually a freak off, when the government is saying you cannot deny the statutory meaning of victim. And I would just go to argue, as long as there's more than two people, it is actually a freak off. What do you say about that?
I think the defense is making a good argument. Like, who's to say that it wasn't consensual? Especially even though you're paying somebody, all three parties may be consenting to this.
Well, one person was running. Let's interrupt then. One party was running down the hallway in fear, got knocked down, dragged, kicked, and dragged back to the room. I think there's evidence of who's to say it wasn't consensual. One person. What do you think?
I know, I agree, but I'm saying they made a good argument. They made a good argument. And who's to say why she ran? There have been rumors out there about why, and I'm just throwing different things out there that they can argue. There are rumors as to why she ran. It's not necessarily to escape an unwanted sexual encounter, because that would be the issue if he drug her back to a freak off session. But there could have been, she might have, it might have been time for her to just end the relationship. She might have just been trying to get away. I think that was more than anything kidnapping.
But if she got back to I think it's a kidnapping, but in order for you to kidnap. You have to bring them back to a place that they do not want to
Mhm.
be in. If they bring you back
Yeah.
to a freak off, I think that we could make the logical
Yeah.
conclusion. I do not want to be in the freak off. That is why I left with no shoes in the first place. You know,
Yeah.
whatever was going on in that room, she didn't want to be there. So I do think there's a kidnapping charge in there also. And again,
Mhm.
I get it. You guys, if you guys don't know, we do this all the time. We're going back and forth saying, what about this? What about this? There are new tweets really quick. Me, myself, and I, thank you so much for becoming a member. And damn it, Donna, thank you for being a member for 4 months. You
Hey,
said, hey,
Donna.
beautiful pizza, no bail. She don't think that Diddy deserves bail either. We have a few more tweets coming in. Let's read this. Listen, where are we at? Does he matter? Okay, so they left off saying, Your Honor, because the defense is saying this edited video makes him look more violent than he is because it makes it look like he threw a vase at Cassie when he actually threw a vase down the hall because he was mad. One could make the argument the same way if you punch a wall next to my face, that is threatening and intimidation. Because even though you didn't hit my face, you threw it at me and you're letting me know that violence could come.
Well, can
But
I
let's
say
get back to
this should have no bearing on whether he gets bail or not. The video. People have domestic disputes all the time, and I am not minimizing it at all. But people get their teeth knocked out, and their face is black and blue, and you'll still get a bail. So I don't know why that has any bearing. It doesn't go toward his propensity for violence and a reason
I
why he
think it
shouldn't
does.
be out. Mhm.
I think it
Say it again.
does.
I
No,
know
but
I
I think
don't
it
like it,
does.
but
I
you have
understand
domestic
that
violence
people,
issues all the time.
I know, but the thing is, and again, I'm about to read the tweets, but we're going to
Mhm.
come back to this because I love this stuff with you, right? I think it actually does go to the core of it. If we're just looking at a domestic violence case, right?
Mhm.
And the other person is like, no, I love him. Then I see what you're saying. What does that have to do with bail? But if we're looking at a domestic violence case, and the person that is abused is saying, I am afraid of this person. This person made me his sex slave. He abused me. I have trauma. I had to go to therapy. Well, I think it changes things. Yeah, people get punched in the face all the time, but the person you punch in the face is saying that you completely shattered their face, their life, and everything else. On top of that, your propensity for violence, it does show. Now, take that same domestic violence case and put it in a ruthless mob underboss who was also running a brothel or a sex trafficking. I think it changes a lot. Context is everything. So while like Mary and Sam might actually get into a lover's spat and you can be like, y'all just toxic and you both need therapy. If Sam's being accused of running down one of his Smex workers that he passed around the industry and made him into the slave, I think it's just a little bit different. But before you respond, because I know you're going to respond,
Okay.
let me get into the rest of these tweets, right? They said, okay, this is devastating. Listen, they said, this is devastating evidence for the trial. It shows why he cannot be released on bail. He is violent and is committed to covering up his crimes. The evidence against him continues to mount. We've learned of punching and kicking employees and partners. What's more, the judge lets Mr. Agnifilio interject and says, Mr. Agnifilio jumps in. Yana, I'm going to have Miss Shapiro lead us off. Alexandra Shapiro said he was not dragging her back to the freak off. The judge says, Counselor, there was dragging. Then Miss Shapiro, well, I don't mean to. The judge says there was kicking. Then Diddy's lawyer says, well, Your Honor, he apologized. So already
Oh my
the
God.
judge is already pissed off with Diddy's mess. The judge is already pissed off. The judge is already pissed off with his mess. The judge is already pissed off with his team, right? The judge is saying already, you guys got me once and you embarrassed me once. There was dragging, there was kicking. Now, listen, you guys, I just let you guys know, Alfie is playing devil's advocate. This is what defense lawyers do, right? And you would want a defense lawyer. Wow. So the point of us having this back and forth is to hear the various arguments that defense lawyers actually make. We might not like it, but these are the arguments they make. Now, I will actually say that you can use the thing that people get domestic violence all the time, but not when they are fleeing from a freak off. And at the end of the day, it's not like Cassie saying, no, it was consensual. Cassie filed a federal lawsuit and got a settlement. I know settlements can't be used in court, but she is the prosecution's key witness because she is 100% saying it was not consensual. I was dragged back to that freak off. But let's keep going really quick because we have more tweets and then we'll come back to this. All right. The judge goes on to say, what about the 2018 text messages with Cassie about violence? Diddy's lawyer, Yana, we've gathered more information about Cassie even yesterday. I don't want to quote it because it's under seal and should be, but it was consensual. They are now claiming, Diddy's team are now claiming that what we saw in that video, where Diddy literally treated her worse than a rag doll, worse than a dog. And I say this as a avid dog lover, worse than a piece of crap. They are now saying that they have text messages that are under seal saying that Cassie consented to this. They are now trying to imply, okay, and this is live tweet directly from the court. This literally just happened 30 seconds ago. They are now trying to imply that Cassie and Diddy were in some type of kinky, you like violence. I don't know what those relationships are called, but when you really, really like violence to the point of whatever, and it was consensual. They're literally trying to say that everything Diddy did to Cassie, she wanted it, she asked for it, she sought it out. These defense lawyers aren't seeing heaven. They really aren't. I understand you need to, no, I understand you need to rep your client, but this is something above and beyond. This is something above and beyond. It really is. What's your take on this?
I say that they're being zealous advocates. They're using what they have, and I think that what we're going to see if this does make it to trial is look at the is it Danny Masterson case and look at the Harvey Weinstein case. The witnesses, the women that testified against these men, they had to deal with bringing up email evidence and text message evidence, just written evidence of their relationship with these men post grape, if you will, post incident. Yeah. And I think that the problem in Cassie's situation is we're going to have a lot of evidence that is going to make it appear as if everything was consensual and that they were just in a violent relationship. That's just going to be one of the problems. And I think that that's one of the problems with the indictment. They're going to need more victims, but the indictment that I read was right. Oh. And I know since then, but initially it just mirrored her federal civil suit.
Okay. Listen, let me just interject. We have a new tweet in and I'll let you pick up on that point. Allie, thank you for being a member for 5 months. Oh, I love your profile pic. It's so beautiful. Say, keep him in jail. He doesn't understand basic consent. Exactly. But let me also say this. The judge went on to say, so Diddy's lawyer left off saying, Yana, we've gathered more information about Cassie, even yesterday. I don't want to quote it because it's under seal and should be. It was consensual. The judge interjects. Again, I told you guys that Diddy's lawyers effed up by embarrassing the judge and making it seem to the point of, Your Honor, why didn't you catch this before you made a ruling, right? Anyway, the judge says, I don't want to quote from them, but you know the ones I mean. Mark Agnifilio. We're proposing an independent security firm. There has been mutually regrettable physical conduct going both ways. There was violence by this other person and by Mr. Combs, allegedly. They are now trying to say that the violence that Diddy inflicted on video is allegedly. And they're also trying to say that Cassie's very beautiful, but 3 apple high self was going in on Diddy. I don't recall anybody saying Diddy missing hair. I don't recall anybody saying Diddy had to go to Dubai to fix his face. I don't recall Diddy ever having to put on makeup. I don't recall ever seeing scratches. I don't recall any busted lips. They are now trying to say, and I said this in the beginning, and y'all thought I was BSing y'all when I first started. And I said, they're going to try to flip it. Y'all said I was a liar. But tattletales, y'all remember when I said my insight people said that Diddy's lawyers plan to put Cassie on trial? Yes, that probably is obvious, but they plan to go 2 steps forward. Diddy is now going to claim that he is actually the victim of domestic violence. And he, as a grown ass man, was seduced by this 19-year-old woman that put the ways of the world on him and made him sacrifice everything. He didn't want the freak offs. Cassie wanted them. He didn't want the firm touch of another man. That was Cassie's fetish, but he wanted to do anything he could to satisfy her because he was so in love. Even after she left him for another man, he still said, come back to me and bring the kids, because they were in some sick, dysfunctional relationship. I understand that Diddy's attorneys have to make this call because they're pieces of shit. But at the end of the day, yeah, no. Also, Facing Truth said Mark Agnophilia deserves to cast down into the pits of hell along with Diddy. I think it's disgusting. Disgusting. And I get that's what defense lawyers do. I think it's disgusting that Mark Agnophilia is now taking someone as violent. Did Cassie make you put a car bomb in Kid Cudi's thing? You're taking someone as powerful, as rich, as much older, and you're now trying to dig up old text messages where Cassie says, I might have loved it, against her abuser, and you're trying to take Cassie as the abuser, and Diddy was the helpless, wide-eyed victim that was seduced by a little kid. Anyway,
I don't think anybody's going to buy that argument. I think that I would completely stay away from that. I would focus on the witness intimidation and Cassie being one of the witnesses. I would focus on that, stay away from the video, because there's no argument that he's going to be able to use to explain that video.
Well, here's another thing. I think, first of all, from what I'm hearing, it's even more than that video. These superseding indictments are going to knock Diddy on his ass. There's more than the video. There's people that witnessed this. There's other people he abused. There's an attempted murder charge. You guys, mark my words on this. There is an attempted murder charge, and it has nothing to do with Cassie. Okay. There are so many things coming down. They act like that video is the only proof that they have. There's the people that were with Cassie when he flew her to Dubai. There's the people that joined Cassie when she flew her to the private island for her face to heal. There's another tweet. Diddy's lawyer Shapiro said, in the LaFontaine case from 2000, the defendant told someone to lie by phone from the MCC. If the Gotti case from 1996, the head of the Gambino crime family, the witness received a kick in the ass, and the government does not have that here. So they're trying to say that even if you look at the LaFontaine case, which the government cited, and you look at the Gotti case, which the government also cited in their motion that he should not be released, they're saying that the witnesses were actually physically touched and physically harmed. So because Diddy has not physically touched any of the witnesses on the outside, then they're saying that should not apply. There is one more tweet. I just want to get that out there. They go on to say, we cited the Trump case. Defendants have greater rights to speak than their lawyers. The Instagram post as well as, well, I don't know if I can. The judge said his communications from the MDC, Diddy's lawyer. Well, he says the prosecution is motivated by racism.
I think they should. Okay, I'm so over the racism argument.
It's not over. Okay, hold on, there's one more tweet behind it. Then I'm gonna let you have the floor. Okay. She said, well, I don't know if I can. Right? The judge says his communications from the MDC. He says the prosecution is motivated by racism. This is covered by the First Amendment. Messages they point to are not instructions to lie. There is a barrage of negative media coverage. He has a right to respond to that. The judge says, but why not through counsel? His lawyer says, we're happy to do that. Okay, while we're waiting for the rest of the tweets to come in, why don't you jump in and let us know what you think about that?
Just two things. When the defense was talking about the two cases that the government cited, and they mentioned physical touch and how that doesn't apply here, I'm assuming these cases are pretty old, and I would say modernly, we know that emotional intimidation is just as powerful as physical touch. That's something I
True.
would focus on. And also, we're dealing with a billionaire, right? So,
True.
or purported billionaire. So that's a little bit different from, you know, the need to yourself or you would send some goons out and physically touch them. You have like a lot more access. You can destroy
Yeah.
somebody financially, you can destroy their reputation. It doesn't have to be physical touch. And
Mhm.
then isn't the lead attorney general a black man? So I think that their race argument is just an overextension. You know, I appreciate
Yeah.
it, but it's an overextension and it's not going to land well.
Okay, so there's more tweets coming in. Just to pick up where we left off, you guys, if you are joining us, these are live tweets directly from the trial. It is a federal trial. No cameras are allowed in the Southern District of New York. However, we do have a court reporter tweeting as fast as their little fingers can get it out. Okay. Also, if anybody is a court reporter or good at live tweeting, hit me up on email. When the Diddy trial starts, if y'all want to make a little extra money, I might be in court myself, but that depends on whether Diddy's out on bail or not. Okay, but anyway, let's get into this, right? The Diddy's lawyer, just to refresh, said this is covered by the First Amendment. The messages they point to are not instructions to lie. There's a barrage of negative media coverage. He has a right to respond to that. The judge said, then why not go through counsel? His lawyer said, Your Honor, we're happy to do that. But we're lawyers. It's not really what we do. Some of these recordings show that he's telling people, just tell the truth. Talk with my lawyer. The judge said, victim 3, you're saying the communications are fine? They said, yes. Same as witness 1 and 2. Also, you guys, really quick, make sure that you actually subscribe to the Black Letter Law. That is it. She is on YouTube. She is going to go listen, you guys. She is not pro Diddy. Here's the thing, you guys. I understand that that nobody like more than myself. We love to hear things that we agree with. We love to hear, yeah, this isn't right. He should be in jail. And we agree. No one more than myself or Black Letter Law. But it's important when we're dealing with something as difficult as this to have the courage to look at things from a not fair, but look at it from the other point of view. She does not agree that Diddy should be let out. She's playing the role of defense attorney, and she's letting us know what Diddy's lawyers may be thinking, the angle they may be taking. And I think it's very, very important that we know that angle. We don't have to agree with it, but literally putting our hands over our ears and being like, la, 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 la. No, Diddy's guilty. He's going to jail. We cannot stick our heads in this sand and soil and hope that justice is done. We've seen too many times monsters can evade justice. So again, just to be clear, Black Letter Law is not pro Diddy at all. She's been on my channel before. She can't stand Diddy. She is a firm advocate for victims of domestic violence, anything. She is down for the cause. She is a Black woman through and through. And if you're a Black woman, you know exactly what that means.
I am a Black woman.
But here's the thing, though. We need to know, and that's why I brought her on, to play devil's advocate, to let us into the game that Diddy's team is playing. So once you understand the game they're playing, it's so much easier to unravel it. But we can't unravel the game if we're just like, no, he's guilty. No, let them talk, let them cook, because that's how you always get over on your opponent. Give people enough rope and you use your own words against them. Do you know what I'm saying? So just to let you guys know, also Black Letter Law, she is amazing. She is at the Black Letter Law. And just to be clear, you guys, I asked her to come on and I asked her to play devil's advocate. I want her, because she is a defense attorney, not like what Diddy's, but she has a storied past in legal, and she is letting us know what arguments the defense is, and from a non-biased point of view, what argument she actually thinks has legal standing. And I think it's important for us to know. So you guys, please be respectful. These are not her own views or feelings, I asked her to come and play devil's advocate. And she's given a lot of insight into what the council's next moves might be and why they are doing things in the past, in this present. And also, I do believe she's going to be a valuable resource in the future as we move to trial with Diddy's team. Also, really quick, Brandy Donnery, thank you so much for the super sticker. Okay, so really quick before we get back in, also Black at the Black Letter Law on Instagram and also on YouTube. I'll put her socials in the little ticker banner. In 1 second, let's get back into these live tweets. Okay, the court reporter has released more live tweets. 1 second. This is up to the minute. Okay.
And Whitefish says, I'm deaf. She's just muted.
We're going to have to go old school. Okay, we're just going old school with no microphone. Can you guys hear me now? Hit 1 if you can hear me. Hit 1 if you can hear me. Okay, you guys can hear me now? Okay, let's see if we can plug in a new microphone. But while we're at it, new tweets have come out. I repeat, new tweets have come out. All right, new tweets have come out. Let's get into that and see what we can do about it. Okay, so let's see. New tweets have come out. Hello, hello. New tweets have come out, and I'm going to read them right now. I'm just plugging in my backup microphone system. Okay, can you guys still hear me? Let's see if we can get. Okay,
We got you.
No mic. Forget it. We're just going no mic. Okay, so let's read these tweets. Okay, let's see. So I'll get close so you guys can hear me. Okay. Okay, so they say, what about the communications that are missing? This is live tweeting directly from the courtroom. Mark Agaphilia, Yana, witness 1 reached out to Diddy's counsel and asked us for a lawyer. We didn't do anything along those lines because it's an odd request. I don't know the factual answer. Judge, how do you know that? The judge, how did you not know? Diddy's lawyer, well, there was a message from Diddy to witness 1. I'd like to give it to you under seal. U.S. Attorney Foster may know. It does not give rise to the level of obstruction. I don't have the actual message. Again, I said it once and I will continue to say it. Diddy's team actually embarrassing, let me bring you guys a little closer. Diddy's team actually embarrassing the judge and literally submitting something that didn't have factual basis. They knew didn't have factual basis. I knew it would come back to them. Again, he said, I reached out to Mr. Combs' counsel and somebody, witness 1 reached out to Diddy's counsel and asked us for a lawyer. We didn't do anything along those lines because it was an odd request. I don't know the factual answer. right? They're saying, and the factual answer is, what about the communications that are missing? Diddy's lawyer said, we don't know the factual answer to that. The judge said, how do you not know? How did you not know? Again, Diddy's lawyer. Well, there was a message from the defendant, but we didn't know. We don't know. They said, and this is a weird thing. They said they don't have the actual messages. They don't know what is on the messages, but they believe that it does not give rise to the level of obstruction. How do you not? How are you saying something isn't obstruction, but you also don't know what was on there? It doesn't make sense. Diddy's lawyer continued. My client obeys me, Your Honor. For example, on victim 3, he stopped using ASAP and other phone lines. The messages with witness 1 were pre-arrest. He obeys us. He came to New York and the borough of prisons. When I tell him not to do something, he doesn't. Diddy's lawyer went on to say, I submit that the charges in the Jeffries Abercrombie case are worse than here. They allege an international sex trafficking business. They were raped and forced to engage in blank your anal smack. The Eastern District of New York said that in docket 9. Well, did he do the same thing? Well, I'm confused. I'm confused. Was there not men giving Diddy sloppy toppy and Diddy taking whatever he want? He goes on to say, yeah, he said that's different because in those cases, men were raped anally, and with Diddy, that's not the case because it 100% is. That was a weird thing. You guys, I'm trying to get my speakers back online, but I actually think that was a super weird case and a super weird takeaway. What do you think about that, counselor?
You know, it's so interesting because I get in conversations with people a lot and they talk about the different levels of sexual violations, like there are levels to it. And my argument is there are no levels to it. You know, you can't just say, oh, because it was, you know, there was penetration here or there was forced oral there. I'm sorry, I can't say all of these words, but you know, so one is, you know, more damaging than the other. No, they're all. It's an interesting and odd and weird argument. And
it is interesting. It is odd, and it is very. Yeah, it's very weird that they would even bring that up. Like, oh no, Your Honor, that's not what's going on. It was forced here, but not there. It's very odd. I don't know where Diddy's team is going with this and why they're trying to also split hairs on what is what. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I don't know.
They're giving all they got.
Yeah, they're giving it all they have, but once again, how much do they really have? I mean, I understand people are making arguments that the defense team is kind of like thin and shoddy, but Diddy's defense, like you're splitting hairs. Here, they have blonde hair. Over there, they have brown. How is that any type of defense? It literally doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's get back into this. I think a few more tweets have come back. We are getting to the end of this. We will see if Diddy is actually released on bail. Right now, the government is trying to, the judge is trying to ask, what about Diddy's deleted communications? What do those say? And they're trying to say, we don't know, we had no idea, but we want to tell you it's not obstruction of justice. Okay, there's a little bit more. The judge doesn't seem to be buying it. It is what it is. I don't know. Okay, so we're waiting for more tweets to come in. Listen, I really actually have to ask you a really important question. What do you think the odds are that they'll get away with this mess?
With bail or with the charges? I think he'll be convicted, period.
But what about bail? Now that you're hearing how things go, what do you think?
So is this isn't the same, or is this the same judge who handled the Abercrombie case? Because I'm not familiar with it. Because if it is the same judge, he's going to have to give him bail. If
I don't
it's
think
not,
it's the same judge.
okay, because
But
I'm
wait, but
looking
I'm
right
not
now.
sure. Could you go into detail on that? Why do you think that if it is the same judge, you're going to have to give him bail?
So from what I understand, this judge that we have now is a different judge from the original one that denied him bail. I'm not sure, but that's what I think. But
It is.
you okay, so perfect. So you have to apply you have to apply the law, and you have to apply it neutrally. So I think that he's got to apply the same rules neutrally and evenly as that he applied for this Abercrombie and Fitch person to this situation here. But what I'm finding is interesting. I'm reading right now. It says the prosecution didn't oppose bail in the Abercrombie and Fitch case, which is interesting. But of course, they're opposing it here. This is
I mean,
I'm trying to
they're
go down
opposing
this little
it here
article.
because they actually said in their letter that in the Abercrombie case, there's a couple of differences. One, the Abercrombie stuff, even by the government's own admission, stopped completely in 2015. Diddy was doing it up till a couple of days ago, right?
Okay.
Two, the Abercrombie case, they never engaged in any obstruction or tampering.
Right.
They let them be because they're like, okay, fine, we'll trust you to your own merit, but you better not do anything. So it was prevention, not something to actually circumvent. On top of that, right, I think it can easily be said that when it comes to the Abercrombie case, they didn't have a history of violence. Now, granted,
Right.
we can argue all day on what that means, but they said that they didn't have a history of violence. So they're really confused as to why Diddy thinks that he is kind of like in that whole frame. What do you have to say about this?
So that's why I believe the best argument that they have is the obstruction and witness intimidation. I think that's the best argument they have. They should rely on that. And then, but the violence issue, I don't think it's the best argument because I think that the defense can separate the violence from the SMEX, if we're saying SMEX trafficking, and the violence from the relationship. I would argue that they're two separate things. But the problem with that is the fact that, again, these federal charges mirror Cassie's civil charges. So we know she is a victim here. And that's the issue. So it is violence related to.
I would say this though, if we
case.
go and play like devil's advocate, if somebody is a sex trafficking victim, how can you separate that from the relationship? The relationship is one of a pimp and hoe relationship, for lack of better words.
So the argument would be she's not a victim. And that's when I think that they're going to be merciless when she has to take the stand. Because again, like I said, with the Weinstein victims and the Masterson victims, there's so much evidence of after the alleged violations that these people resumed a relationship. So I think, that's going to be the issue. Is she a victim? That's what they're, and I'm not asking that, but that's what they're going to challenge.
Okay, so let's get back into the tweets, right? Diddy's lawyer continues, okay? While in Jeffrey's case, one defendant is 80 and the other is 71. Mr. Combs is 55. I hate to say it, but that's not young. I said that too. Anyway, the judge, and I say that into the point of with Diddy, even though they're trying to say he's not young, I feel like the way they try to be like, Your Honor, he's an old man. I think, and 55 still is relatively young, right? But I think that's going to blow up in Diddy's face when he actually gets to the case, because you can't really say a 19-year-old seduced a 55-year-old. I mean, you can if you're a patriarchy, but it's kind of hard to say a 19-year-old seduced at that time, 40-year-old multimillionaire billionaire to the point of had him acting out of character, especially when he was the one that was beating on her. Like, that's not the way it works. But
that's a flat, it's not going to land. That's not the best argument, I don't think.
So the judge says, the U.S. suggests that he won't follow conditions. That's the U.S. Attorney's Office. The lawyer responds back, These conditions are more restrictive than in prison. The judge says, Mr. Agnophilia, where's the home he'd be in? Mark Agnophilia. I don't want to give the address. It's on Star Island. There's a causeway. There's a dock, Yana. There will be no boat. The judge, that's not going to work. We're in New York City. So you guys, this is huge. The judge just brought up an angle that I never considered before. Okay, Judge Aaron. He said outright, and this is live tweeting from the courthouse, that try again. They said that they will not respect Diddy. They will not okay Diddy being granted jail in either of the Star Island homes because there is a dock in each one. The same way Diddy used to come up on fancy boats and this and that is a clear means of escape. That's like saying you're at a place that has its own helipad. That's not going to work. You could be gone tomorrow. They could smuggle you out, Thomas Crown Affair and dirty linens, put you on a boat, and before you know it, you could be to Cuba and nobody would know. So the judge makes a good point. That's not going to work. The judge asks him again, where in New York, right? Where will he be held for house arrest? Mark Agnophilia. Yana, give me a moment. They didn't expect this. They didn't expect the judge to outright say that's not going to work. There is a dock, but there would be no boat. That's not good enough. He could literally put on a scuba diving suit in the dark at night and flip himself into that bad boy and literally make his way through the Miami Canal until he gets to Cuba in safety. Cuba is one of the places close to America that you don't have to stamp your passport. There's ways around it, and Diddy could be gone. Diddy, it looks like, will not be getting jail he will not be getting his little bail package in his Star Island home. Diddy does not have a New York City residence. He does not even have a New York City rental. So where, as the judge says, are you going to get? And the judge says, where in New York? You guys, again, Teresa, you have it right. You said, I'm telling you, if he gets out on bail, he's going to plead. The judge feels the same way. Let me just read a few super chat. Cat Girl 226 said, I love your Agnophilia accent. Thank you, Cat Girl. Appreciate you. Thank you. And two basic truth, what you said was, I've said this before, but Diddy doesn't have a defense. The only thing they can do is reach for loopholes. Exactly. That is the only thing that they can do. Let's continue with what's going on. This is breaking news. The judge has denied that Diddy can get bail in Miami. However, he is asking about, if you get bail, where would it be in New York? Diddy's lawyer says, Yana, there's an apartment on the Upper East Side. We have one available, 3 bedrooms. Judge, where are the 24/7 security going to be? Again, they didn't expect that. Even with the apartment, it needs to be in a house. The apartment is very, very tricky, especially with the 24-hour security. How can you guarantee that who's going in and out the apartment is going to apartment CD and not apartment AB? Oh, it's getting juicy. Hold on. We got more. Hold on really quick.
Well, it looks like the judge is throwing them a bone.
I don't think so, because they're not ready for that bone. So
they can find someplace really quickly. He's a purported billionaire.
They're just saying this apartment. You mean really quickly, like in this hearing? Well, we gonna see. Hold on, y'all. Let me just read the rest of the threats and then I'll let you interject, okay? Let's see. Where are we right now? They're saying that they have a apartment. It's 3 bedrooms. It's in an apartment building on the Upper East Side. The judge says, where's 24-hour security going to be? Mark Agnophilia. Would you like to speak to him or me? It's Patriot Security, Yana. They merged with Crisis 24. There'd be 2 security guards in the apartment, Your Honor, and 1 downstairs. So a total of 3. No access to phones or the internet except for calls with counsel arranged by security personnel. This is more restrictive than the NBC. It is not more restrictive. And you mean to tell us that the only thing stopping Diddy from fleeing the country is 2 security guards in his apartment that he is cool with and one at the front door? Mr. Combs would avoid all contact with anyone who may be a witness. I think he has a right to do that. But I want to make it as easy for the court as possible. We're going to investigate thoroughly before the May 5th trial, Your Honor. He has a right to assistance of counsel. Ooh, this is getting juicy. Now listen, we are going to disagree. Oh, there's more. The judge says, the government is saying that Diddy would be paying these people. So I guess it comes down to trust. Diddy's lawyer, it's a different relationship, Your Honor. These are professionals that are only going to be in his life for 8 months. It's a high profile case. Okay, but you still didn't say anything about trust. We can't control you in jail. Why would we control you when you are literally in a 3-bedroom apartment on the Upper East Side? First of all, I know the Upper East Side of New York, and I'm sure there is a condo association. First of all, what condo association is approving Diddy's bail being in their thing? But let's just say they can do it, right? And get past the condo associations. And anybody that knows New York knows those condo associations are MFers, right? But even if you do that, right? Even if you got away with that, even if you do that, it leads you to say, three people, that's the only thing stopping Diddy from fleeing? The people with the Abercrombie case, I think, have at least 8, 9, or 10 security guards. 3 people in a 3-bedroom apartment. There is a fire escape. There is the front door. It's literally 3 people. What if Diddy has his boys with weapons run up in there and Diddy faked his own kidnapping and they take him somewhere and he escapes? Diddy is trying to get out of life. And I know it sounds unbelievable, but he is trying to get out of life in prison. Hold on, you guys. We have a few more live tweets coming directly from the courtroom. They are coming in as fast as the court reporter can type. Shout out to the inner city press for always keeping everybody up to date. Okay, let's get into this, right? Mark Agnafilio. He's been in jail for 66 days, Yana, without a laptop. He only got one a few hours ago. What is unique here is to have waited 9 weeks to get a laptop in the MDC, Yana. The judge said, the solution is for you to come to me. We can call these hearings, which gets things done. Okay, hold on. There's a little bit more. They are coming in so fast. Listen, and again, I do want to say this for anybody that's from New York, and New York Times, let me know, what condo association in New York is going to approve having Diddy in there? Yo, it's hard enough to even rent an apartment when you get into Upper East Side. I don't even know if they can even get that approved. This is wild. Hold on really quickly, right? Listen, so Diddy won't be in the Star Island mansion. I guess I'll have to make do with the New York City penthouse, but it's only 3 bedrooms. So I don't sound like a penthouse. But they said they wonder if the condo board would even be okay with this or even have a say. I think the condo board can actually say no. They have a right, and there's probably something in the rental contract or the condo contract that you can't have like armed inmates, assailants, or whatever in the thing. Let's see if there's just
the judge is leaning to letting him out. And the only thing that can happen is, it doesn't seem like the flight risk is that big of an issue. You can put your hands on him if he's in New York. You can always file for a revocation. You can file for a revocation if he does violate it, and he'll be skating on thin ice anyway.
I don't understand that though, because you're now asking the public to pay for extra resources to guard Diddy's house to make sure he doesn't make a run for it.
No, Diddy would be paying for it, not the public.
No, he would be paying his co-conspirators to be his security. They are co-conspirators.
What I would say is, again, I said it earlier, I would tell I would ask the court, I would say, I think the court should say, come up with some type of organization or a company that both sides agree to. So to make sure that this, it's not going to lean one way or another. It's just going to be a
But if
neutral
I
party.
can't control you, okay, but if I can't control you, well, hold on, the judge is saying something else. Diddy's lawyer goes on to say, I have a whole presentation ready about the tape, Yana, but if you've got enough, I can save everyone 15 minutes. The judge says, I reviewed it. Who is here from pretrial services?
There we go. Pretrial
services speaks up and says, we maintain conditions are insufficient. What does that mean?
Woo! Okay, so the conditions that are in place, or the conditions that are proposed, are insufficient to stop Diddy from doing what the government is saying that he will do, which is either run or intimidate witnesses. That's crazy. Wow.
Come through, pretrial services. Shout out to pretrial services, standing on the side of the people. So Mark Magnolia was making headway. It sounded like the judge was very, very close to letting Diddy do some type of house arrest in New York. Then the judge said, is pretrial services here? Pretrial services said, we're here, Your Honor. And the judge was like, what say you? He was like, we think this is insufficient. They literally think that Diddy is a flight risk, that Diddy is a danger. So the only people that consider Diddy maybe okay is, one, his own lawyers, who he's paying to say that, by the way. And the judge seems to be trying every avenue he can to actually get Diddy off. There's a little bit more coming through. Hold on. What say ye? Come through, pretrial services. Because that's another thing. If the judge does okay this and Diddy does run, what would you think that? Well, hold on. Before you answer that, let me get into this. Okay. The judge says, have there been other cases with private guards, pretrial services? Not that I'm aware, Your Honor. No. There was, oh wait, hold on. So the court reporter, Inner City Press, actually said, hold on, there's a note. There was in the UN corruption case of NG Lap Singh, and he got massages with doors closed while confined in Dag Hammarskjöld apartments. Okay, so there is a thing, but the pretrial services said, not that I'm aware, and even Inner City Press is saying there is one case that he can actually think of, right? Again, are there other cases with private guards? Private guards, in my opinion, is an incomplete response to the thing that Diddy takes. That Diddy corrupts everybody. Even to the fact of that his lawyer suggested people that already were marked as his co-conspirators to guard, and the judge is still entertaining this stuff. Why is the judge not asking them, why would you recommend his co-conspirators to be his jailers also?
Yeah, that was curious. But as you were talking earlier, I was even thinking, you might need guards to stop Diddy from running, but you also need guards maybe to protect him. What's been said for months is that he has so much information that he's going to expose. And even after the BLP did the raid, they were saying that he was going to just drop videos, drop songs, and use certain measures to intimidate people. He may have people trying to get to him. So, you need guards to keep people out and to keep him in.
So the legal experts are, you guys, this is what I'm on the edge of my seat because I just texted a few other people. I'm not going to say who they are, but they are on pins and needles because they believe that Diddy is about to be released. They think this might be horrible for his victims and witnesses, but great, right? Great for no one. We're going to have to see, you guys, we are live tweeting directly from the courtroom. We are going at it with black letter law. And this is what I mean about sometimes you need to hear what the other side may be thinking or hearing, even if you don't like the way that sounds, because there are two more legal experts actually messaged me and said they're worried. It looks like Diddy is about to be released. The U.S. attorney, the U.S. attorney just interjected and said, Your Honor, consider witness one. A participant in multiple freak-offs. Participant in multiple freak-offs. Is that his security? Or is it Ray J? Or anyway, consider witness one, a participant in multiple freak-offs. Defendant continued to contact witness one after counsel was retained. The Instagram post was planned for a week using Contact Me ASAP and other inmates' codes. What Instagram post was it? I'm thinking it's the Instagram post where they had the baby singing happy birthday. I think they all did that a week early, and it was a planned Instagram post. Again, jump in here while we're waiting for the next thread.
I think it sounds to me like the judge may be leaning toward bail, especially because he suggested New York. And I think that they're just going to have to sort out who's going to do the monitoring, who's going to do the security. But I really think that, everybody's thinking that Diddy cannot, it's arguable he cannot help himself. He cannot be controlled. He is not going to follow whatever the bail restrictions are. So he's going to violate himself. I think if the judge grants him a bail, there's a 99% chance that he's going to violate himself within the first week of release. What damage he's going to do to witnesses and alleged victims in the in-between time, who knows? But again, I think the best argument is what you just said, this contacting witnesses repeatedly 50 times, emotional stress and intimidation goes far beyond any physical touching.
Yes, I think it 100% does. Again, who is witness one? Witness one is a male, right? We know that it's a male, but who is witness one? Are they security? Are they a friend? Are they witness one? They said that Diddy's been contacting his sons. No, his son wouldn't be a witness. Who is witness one? Is it Ray J? Who is witness one? Kalina is witness two, not witness one. Hold on, there's a little bit more coming in real time. But who is witness one? It's a man. Look, what's your guess for witness one? We're waiting for more live tweeting. We are on the edge of our seats to actually see if Diddy actually gets out. This is, okay. The U.S. attorney goes on to say, Your Honor, his family member said the lawyers say not to do it. Oh, so they're giving him inside of some of Diddy's phone calls. The U.S. attorney is saying, Your Honor, in a taped phone call, Diddy's family member, I'm assuming that's one of his sons, said, yo, but the lawyers told us not to do it. And Diddy responds, I don't care. It's my birthday. The judge said, Ms. Shapiro said sharing codes is common and the conduct was covered by the First Amendment. The U.S. attorney says, Your Honor, the Bureau of Prison Handbook prohibits this exact thing. Oh my God. So this lets us know a lot of other stuff too. We're getting so many things. You guys, we are on the edge of our seats. Legal people are saying it looks like the judge is leaning to giving Diddy bail. We are hoping, praying that doesn't happen. However, what's a key takeaway we just got? Diddy is also running his boys. He's also has his children doing things that they do not want to do at all. For instance, they said the lawyer, right? They said that the lawyer said, don't do it. The lawyer said, do not post anything for the birthday. Diddy told his son, and it sounds like his son doesn't want to do it. And Diddy said, I don't care. It's my birthday. You better do it. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we might find out. Hold on, break on my audio. At the end of the day, we might find out that, hey, can you guys hear me now? At the end of the day, we actually might find out that Diddy's sons are just as much a victim of him as possible, or maybe not, maybe not. Hold on, we have a few more things, you guys. This is riveting. What is about to talk? Listen. I will say one thing. What the hell is the judge talking about? Is the judge really trying to make us believe that because people regularly break rules in the Bureau of Prisons, that Diddy can break rules too? What the hell is this judge talking about? Listen, also, low key, earlier in the hearing, also, what is the judge talking about? Low key, earlier in the hearing, the judge basically gave Diddy's lawyers permission to continue obstructing and contacting grand jury witnesses, which is insane. Alfie, jump in with that because I don't understand what the judge is doing. What's your takeaway?
No, I don't see how he did that.
Listen,
I think
I'm saying Diddy has a right to investigate, and that means contacting grand jury witnesses that he knows are witnesses. Tell me what you think.
He does have, okay, because some of these grand jury witnesses may be witnesses that the defense wants to call. He has a right to defend himself. He has a right to prepare his defense. So I think that's the first position. Whether or not he's harassing them.
But they have the text messages where he is trying to get them to change what they're saying. He has the text messages. The judge has the text messages. I don't understand someone that is accused of running a criminal, violent RICO organization that had 3 AK-47s with the serial numbers fall off of them. How he can really say, okay, fine, you can be in an apartment on the Upper East Side with 3 security guards and you're good to go. What if he stages his own kidnapping? What if he stages a robbery and he leaves? What if he literally hides himself in a bag of dirty socks when the laundry's coming? I'm being like the little cart thing, like how they do prison breaks. Again, Diddy is dangerous. And the fact that the judge doesn't seem to be able to grasp this is really, really weird to me.
But they're not. So it's interesting. They're not really talking about him being a flight risk because we haven't really heard any arguments about him, his family and how he's connected to his family and how he has such a stake in his community, because you would make those types of arguments if the judge believed that there was a flight risk, or if the government's attorney believed that there was a flight risk. I don't really see them making that argument.
Okay, but hear me out. Let me just interject right there, right? It seems like the judge is falling for all of Diddy's lawyers' blatant lies. For instance, he says, Miss Shapiro, the judge literally said out of his mouth, Miss Shapiro says sharing codes is common. Like, why would you be asking Diddy's lawyers instead of getting somebody from the Bureau of Prisons to tell you what is common? You're literally taking everything Diddy's lawyers say as fact. Your Honor, it's common for prisoners to share codes. It's common for prisoners to have extra communicating devices. It's common for prisoners to buy other people's minutes. Diddy's lawyers saying this, and this judge is saying this for truth. Miss Shapiro says this. Why aren't you saying let's bring somebody from the Bureau of Prisons? This is getting weird with this judge.
The judge is not a dilettante. He knows what's common and what's uncommon. He's just making the argument and asking the government to counter. That's that situation.
You're saying the judge isn't a dilettante, but the judge just made the wrong call off the bench on Wednesday and excluded evidence that had no basis for exclusion. Diddy's team in court just admitted that when the photographs were taken, none of those notes were marked legal. None of it. Only after the raid, after he talked to his lawyers, the lawyers then instructed him to write legal on everything, and he did. The lawyers then called an emergency hearing. Based off the fact that they confiscated notes that were marked legal. It came out in this hearing that was all a lie. And the judge then said, from now on, you better make sure that everything's restricted to fact-based stuff. So when you're saying the judge is not a dilettante, you made a ruling off the bench and you didn't even look at the actual evidence. Because the evidence, the 2 photos they submitted, nothing was labeled legal at all. So when you say the judge isn't a dilettante, you sure about that? Are you sure?
I'm sure. Okay. And I think the judge said, again, I don't know procedurally everything that happened, but the judge even said today that he took the word of an officer of the court. I don't know. And this is the thing too. Like But
But you're
wait,
taking
Tisa,
the word.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but I don't know why the government did not object. If there was an opportunity to object, why they wouldn't object. So procedurally, I don't know what happened, but
The government kept saying, Your Honor, Your Honor, Your Honor, we don't know what they're talking about. He took the
Mhm.
officer of the court's word. If that's the case, then why are you not taking the officer of the court's word on the prosecution's side? Because you ain't taking ish they saying at all.
Because you want to, I mean, there's a defendant, he's fighting for his life. You want to give him every opportunity to defend himself and prove himself.
So you just take their word for it?
You don't take their word for it.
But that's
Again,
what he's
I'm saying
doing.
procedurally with that situation, I don't know what happened. I'm just using my best guess on why he ruled the way he
Okay,
did.
hold on. So
Because
there's new
again,
information. Sorry, we'll come back to that. There's new information. So it just happened in court right now. The U.S. Attorney's Office said, Your Honor, the defendant has used at least 8 inmates' codes. He bought them. The judge says, they say Contact Me ASAP operates through TrueLinks, a trust fund limited inmate corporation system. The U.S. Attorney says, Your Honor, it's not permitted. In Jeffries, one person in Jeffries' defendant was detained because they were using the Contact Me ASAP. The Contact ASAP, even though it is used, it's not authorized by the Bureau of Prisons, right? The judge then said, well, they were a foreign national, right? Now, here's the thing. I do want to ask, I wonder if the prosecutors regret letting Diddy's team know exactly how much they knew about his obstruction and witness tampering. Because this judge is low-key destroying their future superseding indictment of witness tampering obstruction with this bail hearing. Again, one could wonder, maybe they should have just let Diddy out on bail and brought up new charges later. But what do you think about that?
Tell me one more time. I'm sorry, I was reading.
I think the judge is low-key destroying their future superseding indictment and witness tampering. At the end of the day, the one thing that I think the prosecutor should bring up and that the judge is overlooking because he's a dilettante or whatever, you shouldn't be doing it. Diddy knows he shouldn't be doing it. Diddy's lawyers know he shouldn't be doing it. That's why Diddy was hiding it. So as much as you want to be like, oh, it's okay to do this and this is common. If it's so MF and common, why is everybody hiding it? Why was it literally done under cloak of night? Because Diddy knew that he should not have been doing it. And the judge knows he shouldn't have been doing it because he's not a dilettante. And Diddy's team knows that he's not shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I think it's the thing. I'm saying it's common to use other people's cell phones. Like I said, you bring contraband of all sorts.
No, not the cell phones, the minutes.
The minutes. Yeah, that's common. I'm saying what he was doing with it is the problem, and that's what should be emphasized. Intimidating witnesses. That's the problem, and that's what should be hammered home in this situation. I don't think the flight risk is the issue. I don't think the violence is the issue. I think intimidating witnesses is the biggest, most powerful thing that they can hang their jacket on. I mean, that's it. You want to protect your witnesses. You want to protect your victims who are witnesses.
Okay, so get this. So the judge says, the U.S. attorney goes on to say, Your Honor, this is more similar to the cases where the detention was ordered with R. Kelly, Keith Rainier, and Larry Ray. The judge says, I suggest both parties put in letters by Monday at noon about what type of communications Diddy may engage in. Monday at noon. I see people from the second row standing up. Diddy's lawyer, Tony Rico, said, we had to email for a week to get him a file folder. So the second row is standing up. That means Diddy's people started standing up. Again, they said we had to email for a week to get him a file folder. Okay, I don't know what that to do with anything. Diddy's lawyer said, Rico said, his adult children are willing to obey. He's not a lawless person. We spent hours at the MDC. Diddy was writing down what I said. He's not out of control. The Department of Justice is responsible for the MDC. Though those calls from me all the time. Those calls from me all the time and I hang up. Oh, they are calls from me all the time and I hang up. So they're saying that it's the department, now they're saying it's MDC's fault. They're saying that if Diddy was doing something illegal, MDC should have stopped him. Lawyers that are officers of the court that know that there's only 3,300 minutes a month, knowing they're going over that, are not saying that, well, we thought an exception was made because NDC didn't say anything about it. I get the point that we need to protect defendants because they're innocent until proven guilty. But I feel like this is creating a dangerous precedence, because what are we really doing when it's when you're allowed to literally get away with everything as long as you don't get caught? That's like saying you're allowed to steal from Target's self-checkout because everybody's scanning an extra pack of juicy fruit and not paying for it. Is that really a valid argument or a way to look at our legal system or even our detention system? Is it? People
absolutely not.
I don't know. I don't like this. Listen, exactly.
Okay.
Renee said just because they said it's go on.
No, I'm looking in your comments. I see a Harpo who this woman and my energy is icky and get her out of here. It makes me so sad that you guys feel that way.
Listen.
I'm a fantastic human being. My name is Afi. I am at the Black Letter Law and I love Tisa so much. And I love being on here talking.
Afi, let me jump in. You guys, listen. One, I invited Afi. She is an esteemed, empathetic, kind, very skilled lawyer. If you guys are new to my channel, you know this. But also, I invited her here to play devil's advocate. These are not Alfie's actual views. I invited her here to play devil's advocate so we can actually have a real conversation. Us having a chamber, this was me. I asked her to take this position. These are not her views. Also, she is a guest in this house. Title tells you must be respectful and kind. But aside from that, I invited her to share these views. It's important that we know what the defense is thinking. We are all blindsided by what the defense is doing right now, and it might be successful. And Afi was the first one that rang the bell about what angle they're going to take and how they're going to do it. And guess what? As much as we don't like it, Afi at the Black Letter Law was in fact right. So again, these are not her personal views, but I believe in having honest conversations because we will never get the justice we serve by sticking our head in the thing and making sure everybody's saying the same thing. Again, it's important that we know what angles the defense is taking. And she's been saying this since the beginning, and his defense actually is in fact taking it. So you guys, please be respectful. We can agree to disagree. Also, really quickly, let's get into these last couple tweets because this is important. They said, hold on really quick, guys. Diddy's lawyer goes on to say he has access to cell phones in the MDC, but not under our conditions. He fights, he kicks, he makes phone calls. This can be addressed. Thank you. The judge said we're going to get a decision out prompt next week. The judge has just said that the decision will come out next week. Let's see. Hold on. There's a little bit more. Listen, get this. Where are we at? The defense just admitted that Diddy also has access to cell phones in the MDC. Again, against the Bureau of Prisons. This is why the raid actually happened. Listen, the judge has said that the letters Monday, the meeting this has been adjourned. Oh my God. So I guess at the end of this hearing, we have a to be continued. We have a to be continued. Okay. Really quick. Ali said, I would raise hell if Diddy was living in my building. Smooth Operator said Diddy got ties from the belly of the beast. Of course he's going to be set free. Facing Truth said, well, Mark Agnifilio let Diddy live with him and his family. Exactly, Yana. Agnifilio, you going to let him live around you? Anyway, DeAndre Uchias, thank you so much for becoming a new member, DeAndre. The dude said, TT, if the lawyers were smart, he would say, he gonna live with me. Exactly. But they are not. They weren't ready for that one. But he's giving them some money to reconvene. I think this lawyer is really being lenient to Diddy. And I think he gave that extra time so that the defense could come up with an actual bail package and a house and a home that actually makes sense. Dory Angel said, exactly. Listen, and let me tell you guys something. Black Letter Law is also a friend, okay? I know her. But even if I didn't and she was a stranger, I'm inviting her to our house. And I asked everybody to be respectful. I am going to be going through after and blocking people that leave disrespectful comments, okay? I'm just warning you guys. It doesn't matter whether you are a member to the channel. It doesn't matter whether you sent me super chats. It doesn't matter. I will not have guests in our house disrespected, especially one that she is actually doing my bidding, playing the devil's advocate. And for those of you guys that don't like it, this isn't a channel where we stick our heads in. This is a family. We love everybody and we are respectful. We might get spicy at the Thanksgiving dinner table, repping our set, but it will never cross over into disrespectfulness, okay? Keep it cute, no malicious, keep it cute, lighthearted. You can attack the idea and not the person, okay? And Dory Angel said, this is terrible with these comments. That's awful. I love Black Letter Law. People need to respect others. There will be order in my house. There will be order in our house, Tattletales. There will be order. Okay. So in any case, because again, it's not my house, this is our house, and there will be order. So Alfie, right? And don't worry, we'll get the trolls and everything out. Unfortunately, with tensions are running high and the internet. What's your take of what's going to happen? And again, I am asking you personally. I'm not asking for sugarcoating. I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear. Diddy's going to go to jail forever and he's never going to. No, we're adults and we can take the truth. Given what you've heard today and the fact that the judge hit us with a to be continued, what do you honestly see happening given what you know of the court system? What do you see happening?
I think that, it looks like the judge is, hold on, let me close the door. It looks like the judge is leaning toward granting him bail. And I think what the defense is going to have to do is work on finding a good third-party security firm that can show the judge that there's no flight issue and that he's going to be protected again from the inside and the outside. But I think that, I think it gives everybody time. I think it also gives the government time to prove that he is intimidating witnesses. And this is how it's impacting these witnesses. This is how it's going to impact the trial. But I also think that if he gets, I've said this before, if he gets this bail, he's going to be revoked because he cannot help himself and he cannot be controlled by his attorneys. Like, we've seen that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the judge doesn't seem convinced. The judge doesn't seem convinced. If he doesn't consider this as him, because it concerns me that the judge seems like, oh, well, it's okay to run a PR operation. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. And to a certain point, it is. But where would you see, from what you know of, where the line for obstruction crosses? What do you think that if he is released, Diddy would need to do to actually be hauled back in on obstruction? Where do you think, in the real world and the real legal world, where does that line with obstruction usually lie?
So when you get bail, you have terms and conditions that you're supposed to follow. So it may be something as simple as Diddy not being able to contact any potential witnesses directly. Any witnesses must be contacted through his attorney. He'll have to follow all of the terms and conditions. Just.
But
I'm sorry. I just know he cannot be controlled.
Yeah, but where do you think the prosecution? Where do you think the prosecution could kind of really bring evidence on Monday that you think might push things in their favor?
Ooh, I think if they uncovered anything, so I think I told you, I believe that there was an indictment that was sealed a long time ago and that they had been bugging everything and everybody related to him. I don't know if there's any information that they, that they didn't bring up today that they can maybe bring up Monday. With respect to a flight risk. But again, the counter argument to that is he's got 6 or 7 children here, and he is, a staple. He still believes that he is a community pillar. So that's the counter argument to that. I think actually talking about what you were doing with these obliterated weapons, because again, I wasn't really moved by the fact that he had AK-47s in his home with these obliterated serial numbers. Like, that didn't move me. They didn't say that he had done anything with that. They didn't say that he had intimidated anybody with those weapons. So that doesn't move me. The only thing that does is reaching out and contacting people in a harassing manner 40 and 50 times. That is what moves me.
What about
So
bribing?
Bribery is
With the witnesses, the way their argument with Kalina is, okay, so he didn't harass you maybe, but he paid you off. What about that?
But did they bring any evidence of that?
Yeah, that Kalina, prior to that, he didn't really have any contact with Kalina at all for a long time. After the lawsuit dropped, they had about 144 phone calls between the two of them. Money was transferred to an account, and then that was it. Oh yeah, sorry. So then there were calls. The lawyers got involved. She posted that statement, and then money was directed into the account. And I believe that, I don't know if this part is true, that he also directed her on to do the interview. That might not be true. I haven't confirmed that. But the prosecution said, and as soon as she posted that, some type of payment was made, whether that was rent, a lump sum, but there was some money actually transferred.
My question with that is she a grand jury witness, or is this a matter that's dealing with the civil case? Because that's completely separate. Like, they can't really use that argument here.
She is referred to as witness number 2 with the grand jury.
Oh, she was? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Kalina?
Well, they didn't actually name check her, but when they refer to what happened, I assume it's Kalina.
It was
How
her?
many other people did he do this to? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So, wow. I think that's an issue.
It's an issue.
But it's like we didn't really hear that today during the hearing. It's like they didn't really bring that up. I didn't hear during the live tweet about bribery.
To be fair, also with the live tweeting, there's only so much they can live tweet. So they skip over stuff that's already been covered. When we get the actual transcript, we'll see if it was brought up. I agree with you. If it wasn't brought up at all, it's like super, super weird, but we will see. We will see. I don't know. Listen, if this was anybody else, I'm always about innocent till proven guilty, but there's been too much done with Diddy. I really honestly think the judge is just going, ugh. I
think the Abercrombie case is the best thing that happened to for Diddy's defense team.
But how? The Abercrombie case, they have no history of violence. Diddy does. He does. Now, whether or not he was convicted, there's a history of violence. There's the car bomb. There's this. There's that. The Abercrombie fetch also, they stopped their stuff in 2015. Diddy's is still ongoing, and the Abercrombie. I mean,
that he doesn't have any violent convictions. Like, again, I know the live tweeting is limited, but they just kind of intimated violence. They brought up the Cassie video, and then they talked about the weapons with the obliterated serial numbers. That's all they got into. He doesn't have any real violent convictions.
Okay, listen, that is a good point, but it isn't. I keep posing questions. It just seems like how do you deal with it as a lawyer where you see what you feel is a miscarriage of justice? Like, how do you deal with that in the courtroom? Yeah, it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You get numb to it. It's like, I remember when before I started practicing, people would be like, oh, would you ever represent this type of person? Would you ever represent that type of person? I think for me, my limitations came in when I was dealing with young victims, like, children and the elderly. That's where I absolutely draw a line. I don't like to see it. Don't deal with it at all. That's something I don't manage. Anything else is kind of like, you're numb to it.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Like everything else, you're like, you made your choices, but no, listen, at the end of the day, you do God's work. You defend the people that don't have a voice for themselves. And with defense attorneys, for every Diddy, there's a million Smitties and Biddies that don't have anybody in their corner and are really scared that can be bowled over. Diddy is affording the best lawyers he can. And you see they're putting up a formula, but most people don't have that luxury of having a team of 6 lawyers. So kudos to you to actually, like, you know, standing by your morals and doing. And thank you so much for coming and playing devil's advocate. I know there were a few idiots in the chat. We'll work through that. I make sure we block anyone being disrespectful, but overwhelmingly, and Tattletales, please, you Alfie on the Black Letter Law, please go subscribe on Instagram, YouTube, and support her. And also, you guys, let her know how much you appreciate her in the comments, because at the end of the day, no matter how upset it made us as somebody is the bearer of bad news, my dad's always said the most powerful thing that you can possess in this life to get ahead and do what's right is the ability to allow yourself to see reality, not what you hope it could be, not what you want it to be, not what it should be, but what it is. Because once you know what reality is, that's when the magic comes in, and you can start air bending, fire bending, earth bending. You can start bending it to your will. But if you don't know where the ground is, how are you going to know how to jump? You see what I'm saying? So even though we might not want to hear things, and again, in the Diddy case, you guys, it's not going to be a slam dunk. Diddy didn't go this far, being this powerful, this, that, just going to lie over and be like, okay, take me. Nobody would, but especially not Diddy and this personality type. I believe, and again, I don't want to lecture anybody. Y'all do what y'all want. I'm sure y'all like Tisa. We smarter than you. You probably are. But again, I do think when we start getting, as we move closer to the trial, we as a whole have to be able to see through the BS on both sides and recognize what reality is. And from there, that is the only way that you can have any type of truth, change, justice, victory, or even defeat. It is all based in whoever can recognize reality the quickest and assess it the best. And then from that assessment, make your game plan off of what reality is. Being in the clouds and being in delusion never helped anyone when you are at war. Where are the snipers? Where are the booby traps? Where are the mines? Okay, where are the ballistic missiles? Okay, great. Now let's go. So that's all I want to say, okay? You guys, we got to let this in. Again, it's heartbreaking. We don't know what's going to happen. Diddy might remain in jail, like you said. Like Alfie said, this is an opportunity. And Alfie, thank you for giving us this reality check, right? This is an opportunity for the prosecution to really go sharpen their knives over the weekend and come out with both guns blazing, right? Or it's the opportunity for the defense to really get into their bag. This is a to be determined cliffhanger. Somebody said it back then, and I want to just repeat it. Maybe the reason the judge is being so much like this is because he wants to make sure there's not a mistrial or it's not overturned on appeal. So he is going to look in every nook and cranny and give the defense ample time. However, I do wish that he would stop trusting the officer of the court, or more importantly, I think the prosecution should start challenging the officers of the court. Shapiro says, well, we're going to bring in somebody from the borough prisons, but let's see what the prosecution has. And with these superseding indictments, we are living in a new world. And I don't know what is in front of us. Also, Kay Walker said, thank you both. See, you are loved, Alfie. And she said, thank you both. Legal, is this wise for the judge? So she wants to know, Alfie, from you. Legally, is this wise for the judge to do this, to give defense more time? Why wait for Diddy to mess up about what? Mess up. Why wait for Diddy to mess up? What about the victims and the sons threatening people? What do you think?
Okay, so I think she's asking, like, is it wise to give him bail, like, and then wait for him to mess up and then revoke the bail if he doesn't? So is it? I don't know that if it's wise for him or not, but the question is he entitled to bail? And what would prevent him from having bail? It's a right. So the only things I can think of that would prevent him is if he is intimidating witnesses, or if he's a huge flight risk, or if he's proven himself to be a violent man. And I don't think that, I think the best argument again is the witness intimidation.
Mhm.
But again, the prosecution, did they really do their jobs today, showing that he has intimidated witnesses? So,
Mm.
again,
Yeah.
those are the two issues. But I also want to say, like, to your people, Tisa, thank you so much for the love in the comments. And I live in the comments because I think you guys are like a brain trust. Like, I find so much information. I'm like, oh my God, I never looked at it from that perspective. So I would like to say, if you don't like something, I have to say, don't lash out. Help me be better. Don't be negative. Find a better argument, because I'd love to. I think you guys are brilliant. I'd love to go back and forth with you.
Yeah. Listen, we could listen. We
Because I don't want to fight, but I will.
listen. Tattletales are a loving group. We challenge the person. We challenge the argument, not the person. We get spicy because we are a family, but there's always lots of love and respect. Joe Rivers said, could the witness one be Jamie Foxx? Maybe. Or Albie Shore? Go see my videos about Albie Shore. I do not believe he is the hero y'all think he is, but you know what? What do I know? I do want to say this really quick before we go. This is breaking news. Diddy's former chef, after this hearing, says she's disgusted that he's claiming the Cassie video was edited. She said there were even worse beatings. She said seeing Cassie be re-victimized in the press, on the blogs, and through that disingenuous apology throughout the past year, over and over again, has been truly disgusting to me. I cannot find a good conscience. I cannot in good conscience remain silent. He was physically abusing her for a long time. These are facts. To say the video was edited, knowing there were worse beatings, is truly sick. She said, it's unconscionable. I have shown Cassie support privately on my stories and in other ways. Today, I felt it long overdue to show my support on my main page as publicly as I can. I'm using my platform to stand up for her. I stand with Cassie and all domestic violence victims, survivors, and those no longer with us. Enough is enough. Mind you, this woman is legit. This is Jordan Chatham. She is followed by the real Roger Bonds, Misa Hilton, and followed by Justin Combs. I do want to say one thing, and I think it's very, very important. And this is a call to action to all these celebrities that want to be like, oh, well, I get to the community and do that. Shut your dumb selves up and stand on the side of right. Post something this weekend saying you stand with victims of DV. I want to hear about this. I don't want to hear about that, because now is the time where morally, regardless of whether you think Diddy is guilty or not, you can say DV is wrong. Sex trafficking is wrong. Violence in any type of relationship, be it mother-child, father-child, romantic friend, is not acceptable. Again, that's just my whole thing. You know, we stand with the victims and we stand with Cassie, but I'm waiting to see all these pillars of the community that are too scared to come out and say the most basic, especially the people that knows what happened. But that said, it is what it is. Listen, you guys, we have a long road ahead of us, but we are going to be there every step of the way. You guys, make sure you go over to Instagram or YouTube and show Alfie at the Black Letter Law, some love. She's Black Letter Law, the Black Letter Law on all socials. Make sure you go and show her some love. And Alfie, thank you so much for coming here. And thank you for playing devil's advocate like I asked you to do and like a good defense attorney does. Alfie, did you have anything to say before we go?
My pleasure. I love it on here. Thank you for having me. You guys are the best. Tisa, you're the best. We'll talk later. We'll
Listen, and
dish
don't
later.
worry. We're going to go and take a can of Raid and clean up the comments. Don't worry, girl. We got you. You guys, thank you. Make sure you give love to the Black Letter Law. And you know what? Honestly, Alfie, thank you for literally pushing up against what we wanted to happen and actually letting us know a clear version of what actually happened today in court. Monday, we are going to be live tweeting. Hopefully, Black Letter Law will actually be with us again, but Yeah, we're gonna be on pins and needles this weekend. Pins and needles. All right. Thank you,
You
everybody,
rock.
for joining. I'll talk to y'all later.
Right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.